A full bucket of filthy water came down straight onto the head of the tutor who had just stepped through the door. Her answer was a slap driven hard across her face. Honestly, I never intended to teach you magic. I simply enjoy tormenting you high and mighty nobles. A ball of fire flared up and tore the night open. In that moment, for the first time in her life, Dilla believed she was about to die. Let us wind back a few days. To outsiders, she was the most graceful young lady of a most distinguished house. Yet the first time she met her new tutor, she stretched out her foot and ordered him to clean it. The tutor did not obey. Instead, he struck her across the face. Because before he ever set foot in that house, Derek had secured from her father the right to deal with the girl however he saw fit. And the very thing that had earned him such authority was his origin as a beggar. Derek had been carried into this world from another. Only when he opened his eyes here, he found he was nothing but a beggar boy. Even the man who taught him magic was only an old beggar fond of boasting. The old man was no hermit master in disguise. He was an ordinary one-star mage, nothing more. The old beggar wanted someone to flatter him, and Derek wanted to learn magic. The two struck their bargain on the spot. Yet within a single year, Derek reached the level the old man had spent his whole life climbing toward. The old man did not offer one word of praise. Instead, he poured cold water over the boy. With your talent, 2 stars is your ceiling, magic is a matter of bloodline. Struggle all you like, it changes nothing. In this world, magic was the privilege of the nobility. More than a few noble children reached 3 stars before coming of age. That night stretched on strangely long. Derek could not tell whether the old man was warning him or simply venting his own bitterness. The next morning, he found the old man's body. It was covered in the marks of a beating. Only later did he learn the truth. The guards had beaten the old man to death, caught stealing a 2-star spell book from a storehouse. No one could understand why a beggar who would never reach 2 stars had risked his life for such a thing. 4 years after the old beggar's death, Derek met the second teacher of his life. Kadia was the mistress of the fallen house of Flameheart, a 3-star mage making her living as a mercenary. At first, she only meant to give a few pointers to the boy who had joined the company so young and could already manage a little 1-star magic. Kadia taught Derek a great deal. Beyond magic, she taught him how to deal with people. But what truly changed her mind began with an accident. The day he let his talent show, Kadia did not hesitate for a heartbeat. She dragged him straight into an empty alley. You know how sensitive nobles are about their privileges, and magic is the greatest privilege of all. Power is treated as a blessing, but only within the circle of the nobility. Commoners do reach 3 stars now and then, but only after pouring an entire lifetime into it. And what you just used was Phantom Hearing, a 2-star spell of the Confusion School. From then on, Kadia took Derek with her across the land, teaching him every kind of magic, and now and then telling him of the noble society she had once belonged to. That life lasted exactly 1 year, then Kadia left. Count Elbest had invited her to serve as a private tutor. He was a March Count, whom even the Grand Dukes of the capital would not lightly offend. For Kadia, the offer could not be refused. And so, leaving behind a single 2-star spellbook, Kadia vanished from Derek's life. Having taught himself 2 more 2-star spells, Derek was 16 that year. He had no intention of stopping there. And on that very day, a commission arrived that would change the course of his life. The famously extravagant House of Duprin had posted a bounty to clear the monsters on the fringe of their territory. But Derek saw the oddity at once. A house like Duprin had no need to hire mercenaries to deal with monsters. Remembering the warnings of the old beggar and of Kadia, Derek refused outright. The trouble was that Duprin paid too well. The advance alone came to a full gold coin, and the creatures to be culled were only ordinary goblins. The truth was exactly as Derek suspected. The commission was nothing but a pretext. Their real purpose was to find a magic tutor for the young lady of House Duprin. The old man was Delon, head steward of the Duprin estate. The woman was the head maid of the household named Catalina, and the last was Osserin Eleanor Duprin, the eldest daughter of the house, because nobles like them had no reason to seek out a mercenary as a teacher. At that same hour, Reg burst into the study of Duke Duprin. "Father, Brother Valerian, look at this." "Wait, what do you think you are doing? Have I never taught you to hold your bearing at all times?" "The one who needs to hold her bearing is not me. It is Dilla. She has started raising her hand against the servants of this house. Lower your voice, Reg. Father is speaking with me. Last month alone, more than 10 servants resigned because they could not bear it, and she still smashes the furniture for no reason at all. How much longer do you mean to indulge that wretch, father? Hearing Reg speak of his own sister that way, Valerian could bear it no longer. Enough. Step outside first. I still have matters to discuss with father. Father, that Dilla is a disaster is a fact no one can dispute. Besides, we still have Azarin. Listen well, Reg, this is not a matter for you to judge. I have already sent the steward to make inquiries at the convent. The facilities there are good, and there are noble children among them. Better to follow the will of the gods than let her become our burden. The instant Reg finished speaking, Duke Duprain seized his head and slammed it into the desk. I have said it once already. This is not a matter for you to judge. When the moment to decide arrives, one must be decisive, father. Elsewhere, Azarin had already led Derek into the ducal estate. Have you heard anything of my sister Dilla? I have only seen Lady Dilla's name on the Duprain family tree. I see. I suppose to outsiders she hardly stands out at all. At that very moment, the two came face to face with Valerian and Reg emerging from the Duke's chamber. It has been a long while, Azarin. Have things gone well for you in Elbest? Thanks to your concern, brother, I have been quite well there. Good, we can catch up another time. And when he saw the maid behind them weeping into her hands, Derek had a fair idea of what had happened. The two then entered the Duke's study. Azarin exchanged the customary few words with her father. This is the magic tutor I brought back from Elbest. He says he is willing to teach Dilla. But one look at the Duke's face made it plain. He gave the matter no weight at all. You must be very busy, father. Then I shall take my leave. Yet just as they were leaving, the Duke kept Derek behind alone. You look very young, 16 this year. Yes. Thanks to the etiquette Cadia had once taught him, Derek did not come across as coarse. What level of magic can you use? I can manage a little one-star magic. Do not lie again. Excessive modesty is no virtue. Only then did Derek realize that before a 5-star mage like Duke Duprain, modesty was pointless. If I have been discourteous, I apologize. It is nothing. I know why you did it. But to my eye, neither your age nor your dress suits a magic tutor. Derek saw there was no more concealing it. I am a mercenary, nothing more. Since Azarin chose you, I have nothing further to say. I permit you to come and go from the villa where Dilla resides. I will assign a maid to guide you. You may go now. Your Grace, may I ask you a few questions? You know that I am a mercenary. Once I accept a commission, I am bound to complete it. The commission Lady Azarin gave me is to help Lady Dilla learn magic and to bring her into noble society. The questions you wish to ask, surely they are not these self-evident matters. So in order to fulfill that commission properly, I would ask your Grace to grant me a certain authority. The instant those words were spoken, the expression on Duke Duprain's face finally changed. Elsewhere, Dilla had just hurled another plate at a maid. I am truly sorry, Lady Dilla. What good is an apology from someone like you? Get out of my sight. If I see you again, I will throw it straight at that wretched face of yours. At the same time, the head of the mercenary guild was puzzled as well. Why place a commoner as magic tutor to a noble? I have sought out every renowned magic tutor on the continent. Every one of them gave up. I made this decision only because I had run out of roads. Master Derek may be a mercenary by origin, but he understands the speech and culture of the nobility. His teacher was a fallen noble. I imagine he learned it all from her. He may be a mercenary, but his bearing is remarkable and he is a kind man. I believe he might be able to guide Dilla well. It seems your eye for people still falls short. That Derek is a mage raised in the slums. He was working as a mercenary before he was old enough to know better. A man who crawls out of the slums does not survive on bearing and kindness. Elsewhere, Delon led Derek to the villa where Dilla lived. After knocking several times without answer, Derek pushed open the door of her room himself. Good day, my lady. My name is Derek. Forgive the intrusion. Dilla did not answer a word. She only kept telling him to come closer. The moment he stepped near, a triumphant smile curled at the corner of her mouth. Oh dear, what shall we do? I thought a rat had crept in. Is this not the mercenary the steward mentioned? Looking properly, he really does resemble a rat. I prepared this especially for you. Does it remind you of home? The stench of the sewer suits you perfectly. What a waste, though. The gift I prepared just for you is spilled all over the floor. Hearing every word of that humiliation, Derek only stood still, his eyes fixed on her. It was that very gaze that began to unsettle Dilla. Without a moment's hesitation, she kicked him to the floor. Do not look at me like that. Do not overestimate yourself, you filthy rat. With a station like yours, you presume to teach me. At the same hour, Duke Duprain was still deep in thought over their conversation. That I am permitted to sit here means Lady Dilla's problem is not easily solved. So I would ask one question of a father who loves his daughter dearly. While I am teaching Lady Dilla, how much authority can your grace grant me? Back at the villa, in a room thick with the stench of filthy water, Dilla had never imagined anyone alive would dare do such a thing to her. The burning heat across her cheek told her she had truly been struck. Only then did Derek speak. Stand up. 3 years earlier, Derek had once asked Katia a question. Teacher, if you met a student who was arrogant and knew no gratitude, what would you do? That is it. I would certainly try to understand her and bear with her. Is that not a little idealistic? And if none of it works? The essence of teaching is to lead a student toward something better. If understanding and patience cannot open the way, then another method must be used. And what is that other method? Plant fear in her mind. Please treat others with care and respect. There are words I do not wish to repeat. Stand up. But the first thing Dilla did upon standing was to strike him back across the face. What are you? By what right does a mercenary do this? Before she could finish, Derek's hand had already come down. I do not wish to say it twice. Please treat others with care and respect. That he had such nerve made Dilla laugh in sheer fury. Steward, what do you all think you are doing? This low-born wretch dares to strike me. At her call, Dillon rushed in at once. Lady Dilla, are you hurt? What do you think you are doing? How could you raise a hand against my lady, if his grace learns of this? Before Dillon could finish, Derek drew a document from inside his coat. Duke Dupreen has decreed that everything occurring in the course of Dilla's education falls under my sole authority. So whatever method I use, it carries his tacit consent. Dilla realized then that this tutor would not be so easily handled. Before long, word that Derek had struck Dilla reached Valerian. Brother, calm yourself first. So you are the mercenary, Valerian said, kicking open the door of Derek's room. Faced with a Valerian in full fury, Derek offered not one word in his own defense. A creature like you dared lay hands on Dilla. Brother, please calm down. It was then that Derek spoke. I have the permission of Duke Dupreen. He is the guest Azarin brought back. Act like this, and what is Azarin to do? Besides, Father has already allowed it. You, come with me at once. And Reg, stop getting in my way. Go and do what you should be doing. I heard about that too. Dilla does need a beating before she learns. Do not worry, my brother will not harm you. That girl lost all hope long ago. Do not dream of correcting her. Sometime later, Valerian led Derek to another of Dilla's rooms. This is where Dilla lived when she still stayed in the main house. It has stood empty ever since. Derek noticed that besides the cloth dolls any young girl would love, the room held a great many paintings. Dilla loved to paint. Every time she flushed red and dragged me over to look at her work, you cannot imagine how endearing she was. But her paintings are all unfinished. She would paint the part she liked and abandon the rest. Forgive me. I was too heated earlier. I apologize again. I took no offense, so please do not trouble yourself. Though I am curious, why did you bring me to this room? I wanted you to see that Dilla was never a child who trampled on others. But at some point, she became fixated on bloodline beyond all reason. In the end, she was driven from the main house and shut away in the villa. I have no idea at all what turned her into this. At the very least, Dilla must not be sent to the convent. If she can learn even a single one-star spell, I will find a way to persuade Father. So I place my hopes in you. I beg you, save Dilla. Seeing Valerian lower himself to plead, Derek merely waved a hand. It seems she has not entirely given up on magic. This book is full of notes in her hand. The books here are all theory from the Order School, are they not? That is right. We nobles study the Order School. Looking at the paintings before him, a suspicion took shape in Derek's mind. I will do what I can, Derek said, and handed the book back to Valerian. That night, while Dilla lay fast asleep in her room, someone emptied a bucket of cold water over her head, and that someone was none other than Derek. Can you still sleep now? What are you saying? Have you lost your mind? Come with me, now. You truly are mad. Where are you dragging me in the dead of night? The whole way, however she thrashed, not a soul dared stop Derek. He simply held her fast and hauled her out of the villa. Once certain no one was around, Derek threw her down onto the ground. You think this changes anything? Dream on. What are you that you presume to teach me? There is no one around us now. Shall I tell you an amusing truth? Looking at his face in that moment, Dilla was truly afraid. Do you not see it? Why should the low-born rabble be fond of nobles? Tutor is merely a title that sounds pleasant. What on earth are you saying? I never intended to be a magic tutor. I only needed a suitable station from which to torment high and mighty nobles like you. Do you know? How sweet the screams of those lofty nobles sound. You think you can do such a thing and walk away unharmed. Of course I will be unharmed. You are about to be thrown into a convent anyway. Who do you imagine will believe a word you say? And even if something did go wrong, at worst I die. A commoner's life for a noble's. However you count it, I do not lose. And if I simply flee, perhaps nothing happens at all. After all, I would have rid House Dupreen of a calamity. In that instant, Dilla understood. If Derek caught her, she might truly die here. So Dilla decided to lose him in the woods she knew like the back of her hand. If she could reach the ducal estate through those woods, then the one to die would be Derek. But just then, she felt a glow bloom behind her, which meant the 16-year-old mercenary behind her was a 2-star mage at the very least. The fireball burst right in front of her, and Dilla collapsed in terror. How can this be? My apologies. My aim slipped just now. Forcing herself upright, Dilla bolted for the woods. By the time she scrambled up, the spell was already upon her, and those strikes seemed to be landing closer to her with each one. How nimble. Not at all like someone shut in a villa from dawn to dusk. While he was still speaking, Dilla found another chance to run. She understood perfectly. Running could not save her. Sooner or later, she would be caught. Glancing back, she saw that all his attention was now on the spell in his hand. By the time he raised his head, Dilla had vanished. But these woods were the very woods he had seen in her paintings. He guessed she had played here since childhood. And the things in her paintings were, in truth, the mana she had been sensing. Having just swept the surrounding mana with a spell, Derek was more certain than ever that his guess was right. And at that very moment, Dilla leapt out of the brush clutching a stone. Sadly, one careless stroke of Derek's blade severed her last hope. Your nerve deserves praise. Knowing escape was unlikely, you chose to strike first. That is not an easy judgment to make. Exhausted in body and in spirit, Dilla no longer had the breath to run. Is there anything you wish to say? Derek said, closing on her step by step. Do you imagine I would apologize to you? Kill me. I will not bow and scrape like those commoners. Why do you cling so fiercely to bloodline? The instant she heard the question, her whole body went rigid. What else do I have besides it? Beyond this noble blood, what is left to me? Magic, magic. Everyone speaks to me of magic. Do you think I have never tried? But I cannot do it. However desperately I strive, it is never enough. What am I supposed to do? In magic and painting, I fall short of everyone. Beyond this blood, what remains of me? If even that is taken, what am I? I understand. Then go in peace, Derek said and raised the blade in his hand. This time, Dilla did not look away. She stared straight into his eyes. But to everyone's surprise, the blade was stopped by a wall of ice. The one who had raised that wall was none other than the girl who could never learn magic. You have been through much, my lady. I hope you can forgive my discourtesy. This does not yet count as magic. You have only awakened your mana, but you have done very well. In that moment, everything Dilla had held down for so long finally broke loose. By my testing, you belong to the Wild School. What is the Wild School? I hear most nobles study the Order School, but every school is the same at its root. Only the path of understanding and learning differs. You belong to the Wild School, my lady. That is why studying magic through order theory has gone so badly. But how did you know that I belong to the Wild School? I have seen your paintings, my lady. You sensed the mana in nature and set it down on canvas. Most mages with a gift for the Wild School felt mana in nature from early childhood. There, you may go now. At this level, it is not bad at all, is it? You have awakened your mana, but the road ahead is long. From tomorrow, I will teach you how to draw it out. Just then, Dilla called after him. That is, in any case, thank you. The Painting of the Dusk. Is that your favorite work? Which one? It was finished beautifully. It is indeed my favorite. You were the first to notice it was complete. Early the next morning, Dilla began trying to draw out her mana. But however she tried, she could not move it an inch. On her way to find Derek, she startled a maid passing by. As luck would have it, the water in the maid's hand spilled all over her dress. In that instant, the maid was frightened out of her wits. I am truly sorry, Lady Dilla. Given how Dilla had always behaved, such a moment would end in torment without fail. Forgive me, I have committed a mortal offense. I beg you to spare me this once. But to the maid's astonishment, Dilla did not lose her temper at all. Be more careful. Are you all right? I am fine. Something must have happened when she went out last night. Elsewhere, Derek, who had been busy all night, was still fast asleep. But a moment later, Dilla's voice arrived along with a knock at the door. What business brings you here so early? My lady, please observe propriety. You put others in a difficult position. Teach me how to control the mana I drew out. I tried on my own just now and still could not do it. Delon froze at that. He could not believe Derek had drawn out her mana after a single day. Did you not say you would teach me today? Tell me already. Come back this afternoon, Derek said and shut the door. While Delon was still rejoicing on Dila's behalf, the look on her face had turned thoroughly foul. What are you ordering me about? Open this door, tell me right now. Derek did not answer a word. He simply went back to sleep. Yet in the span of a single day, he had turned her into an obedient young lady of good breeding. Have you heard? Lady Dilla did not break a single plate today. I spilled water on her dress this morning and was not struck for it. And I hear Lady Dilla has awakened her mana. Is that true? That tutor has only been here one day. Reg stopped short when he heard it. What were you just saying? Before long, Valerian brought the news to his father and Reg. Dilla has awakened her mana. Yes, father. I have confirmed it with the steward and the servants any number of times. Duke Duprain set down his pen, a rare thing indeed. That is very good news. Reg, your sister has awakened her mana, and rather than praise her, you say such things. Have you all forgotten everything she has done? To cancel the plan to send her to the convent over this small result is far too hasty. While his two children argued over Dilla, the Duke simply picked up his pen and returned to his documents. By afternoon, when Derek arrived at her room, Dilla was sitting alone on the bed. Are you sulking, my lady? I am not sulking. I am angry. Even if you are sulking, there is nothing to be done. I said I am angry. Angry or sulking, it makes no difference. All things have their proper order. At that, Dilla could bear it no longer. I told you I am not sulking. I am angry. But when she turned around, she met the crimson of Derek's eyes. She turned away on reflex. Fine, take it that I am sulking. If you throw yourself into wild practice the moment your mana awakens, you will collapse before long. That is spoken from experience. Study must be balanced with rest. You have rested enough, so we begin now. Yes, yes. What a stiff old tutor you are. Are you saying, my lady, that you would prefer I taught you in a manner that was not stiff? In that instant, Dilla remembered the night her mana awakened. It was certainly a novel teaching method. The process, though. At that thought, she sat down in a hurry. Never mind. Today we learn how to draw out mana. Once you can call it freely, you should learn one-star magic almost immediately. We of the Wild School have no complete system of study, which makes it the school best suited to self-teaching. And we pursue freedom more than the Order School does. In truth, my lady, you suit the Wild School very well. What is that supposed to mean? Exactly what it sounds like. Your free and untamed nature agrees with the Wild School, and you carry Duprain blood. Your gift is extraordinary. The moment she heard it, Dilla became a different person. Are you saying I am gifted? Yes, to raise a wall of ice at the very moment of awakening. One may certainly call you gifted. Then that makes me a genius. Being gifted and being a genius are two different things. Are they not the same? Each in its own place. Fine, whatever you say is right. While the two of them worked at drawing out mana, neither noticed Reg standing outside the window. One look at his face made it clear. He was deeply displeased that Dilla had awakened her mana. In the days that followed, Dilla came running to Derek every single day. Derek, I can draw out my mana now, but I still cannot steer it. Derek, look at this. Cold is beginning to gather in my hand, but it feels strange somehow. Derek, I have been looking for you all day. What are you hiding here for? Did I not tell you to stay near the villa? You think my father lent you those spell books so you could study them yourself? Yes. His Grace agreed that I might read the spell books here freely. What is it you want from me? I circulated my mana just as you told me last time. Come and look at it. That night, Valerian stood in his room with a gravity rarely seen in him. I hear you were looking for me, so you have come. How has my sister Dilla been lately? She has progressed remarkably, but learning one-star magic will still take some time. My mother returns soon from the social season. I must warn you in advance. She is not a woman easily managed. Everyone in the house treats you well now, but nobles as a rule dislike seeing commoners in positions of importance. You understand that well enough, do you not, Derek? Did you call me here only to say this? I am the next head of House Duprain. The duty of a head is to care for and embrace every member of the family, so I must deal sincerely with each of them. What a difficult task that is, and how unfathomable the human heart. How wonderful it would be if everyone thought and valued the same things. Sadly, reality is otherwise. So, what is it you actually wish to tell me? Dilla, my dearest little sister, she will not play with me anymore. At that, Derek truly did not know how to reply. Do you know Derek? I can still picture her running out to greet me with a smile when she was small. Is there anyone in this world more like an angel than she is? So Derek, do you have any idea? Some way for me to win Dilla's favor? Why ask me such a thing? Does Dilla not enjoy following you about? Perhaps you might take a look at this. I learned to make dolls from the maids. Well, is it not the very image of our adorable Dilla? Will she feel her brother's love in it? Forgive my rudeness, Lord Valerian. Are you perhaps intending to place a curse on her with that? Derek, you really are no use at all. A week later, the Duchess returned. I have heard a great deal about you. They tell me we have engaged a most capable magic tutor. I am pleased to meet you. I am Miliela de Belle Duprain. If you do not mind, I should like to send some gifts to the domain you belong to. I belong to no house at all. At that, Miliela froze. I have neither domain nor family. I am simply a commoner. Miliela could not believe that the capable magic tutor the whole household praised was a commoner. The moment she learned it, she stormed into the Duke's study. You placed a commoner as Dilla's tutor. What is the meaning of this? My hearing is quite good. Could you not lower your voice? That is not the issue at hand. It is Dilla, our precious little daughter. Miliela, you know this well. I have no fondness for hiring commoners. But every tutor of noble blood has already given up. Even so, you cannot hand her to a mercenary who has scraped by on the streets. Finding a magic tutor is no simple matter. Besides, Derek came recommended by Azarin. Even so, there must be some minimum standard. Simply invite your younger brother. Last time he made excuses about being busy. But things are different now. Dilla has awakened her mana. You would drag a commander of the border defense away to serve as a private tutor. Do you imagine governing and managing a domain is a simple affair? Then what of the social circles of Elbest? Do you imagine life in society is simple? That too is a battlefield. In society, one's tutor is the most important calling card of all. And you have engaged a commoner with neither name nor house. Do you mean for Dilla to become a joke the moment she enters? Valerian came in at that point. Mother, please calm yourself. You did not return home to quarrel with father. Withdraw, Valerian, this matter cannot simply be let go. Whether that commoner mage is truly fit to be Dilla's tutor, is that not the heart of the matter, Mother? The moment she saw Reg, Miliela's eyes softened with relief. A mere commoner serving as magic tutor to a noble. This is no ordinary situation. If the man genuinely has the aptitude, I do not think it a great problem. Father, I ask leave to test Derek's ability. If I can defeat him in a practice duel. Do not bother. Speaking purely as a mage, he is genuinely strong. At those words, Reg fell silent. Then let me test Dilla instead. Valerian finally realized that Reg had set his sights squarely on his own sister. If Derek is truly a fine teacher, then his student Dilla must have results to show. I ask leave to determine his fitness as a tutor through a practice duel with Dilla. After some hesitation, the Duke consented to Reg's proposal. The moment they left the study, Valerian went after Reg. What on earth are you thinking? Why demand a duel with Dilla? Brother? Do you truly believe she has reformed? Have you forgotten everything she has done? But whatever else, she is your only sister. She is blood we are bound to embrace. That blood of ours will destroy this house. Is what she has done not proof enough? Let her into society, and it is truly finished. Do you truly believe that, Reg? Dilla was the one who crossed the line first. She deserves to stay shut in that villa for the rest of her life. A sister on one side, a brother on the other. Valerian did not know how to settle it. Not long after, Dilla heard the news and went to find Derek. Rushing in this early in the morning, what is it this time? Dilla did not answer. She simply threw a document down in front of him. If I lose this duel, you will be dismissed. I have heard. Young Master Reg is already an accomplished one-star mage. This duel will be difficult. Is that all you have to say? If I lose, you are the one who gets thrown out. I am a mercenary. So long as I complete the work commissioned and receive the agreed payment, that is enough. And what I have received so far is already more than enough. At that, Dilla stopped short. Are you serious? A week passed in the blink of an eye. The day of the duel between Dilla and Reg had come. Aside from Azarin, who was away, nearly the whole of House Duprain came to watch. You have come, Your Grace. Meeting the Duke, Derek offered only his customary bow. One look at Derek made it plain. He was not nervous in the slightest. To the Duke's mind, a man who kept his bearing in a moment like this was perhaps not one to dismiss too soon. No one knew that to Reg this was no ordinary duel. He meant to use the chance to break Dilla completely. Reg swore silently that he would make her regret every single thing she had done. On the far side, standing on the platform for the first time, Dilla's gaze was unusually steady. Return to the afternoon she had spoken with Derek, so beyond that you care about nothing else. I imagine you feel it yourself, my lady. Your mana has settled into its proper course. You cannot use one-star magic immediately, but in time you will. After all, you carry Duprain blood. Why bring all this up so suddenly? I told you before. The wild school is by nature the school best suited to self-teaching. At that, Dilla was near tears with frustration. So what? Why are you telling me these things? Derek, I know I am not a good student, but I still want to keep learning magic from you. I do not want anyone else teaching me. I will tell you now. I do not know the etiquette or the rules of noble duels. I have never taken part in one. But I can teach you how to win a fight. Do you want to win? In that instant, Dilla remembered the words she had once overheard. How did House Duprain produce a creature like that? Her brother and sister are both so brilliant. It seems even House Duprain is heading for ruin. At that memory, her eyes hardened. I want to win. I have to win. Dilla had not come here as Reggie's sister. She stood there as Derek's student and as a mage. Watching her step onto the platform, Reg felt a strange wrongness. Could she truly have come here determined to win? Just as their eyes met, Delon's voice rang out. Both parties, prepare yourselves. This duel follows the advanced mage dueling rules of the Kelfram Hall. Whoever's protective array of General Param activates first is judged the loser. Once more, both parties prepare. The duel begins now. General Param's protective array triggers automatically the instant before its wearer takes a grievous blow and nullifies the opponent's magic. I always wondered how nobles fought. Using ornaments that expensive just for practice, that thing lasts 10 minutes. It seems Reg means to finish before it runs out. Reg would not accept a draw. The instant the duel began, he gathered mana in his hand and started his incantation. But while Reg prepared his spell, Dilla stood rooted where she was, her eyes locked on him. One of the deciding factors in a mage duel is the speed of incantation. At range, whoever finishes first usually holds the advantage, and against an opponent like Dilla, a single one-star spell would be enough. I am sorry, but you must go back to that villa. The instant his incantation closed, the one-star spell Wind Edge shot straight at her. In Reggie's eyes, a sluggish Dilla could not possibly evade it. But Reg never saw the steady resolve in the eyes of the sister he called a family disaster. At that moment, Dilla dropped low and burst sideways, a display of agility rarely seen in her. The change in her plainly exceeded everything Reg had anticipated. Do not think you can run. Reg gritted his teeth, forced more mana through, and bent the blade's path. The Wind Edge came for her again. A girl shut away for so long, Reg thought, must have less stamina than an ordinary person. But had he been able to see her face at that moment, he would surely have thought again. Besides, Reg might use one-star magic skillfully, but at heart he was a novice in combat. Forcing a spell's path like that only burned through more of his mana. Just as he thought she could not dodge, a wall of ice rose from the ground and stopped the Wind Edge dead. By rights, a crude wall of raw mana could never withstand a one-star spell. But because Reg had forced its path, the strike had lost much of its power. Reg stood his ground and began another incantation. This time he meant to loose 3 wind edges in succession. If Dilla liked to scurry about, he need only seal off every route of retreat. Listen carefully, my lady. A mercenary's fighting craft differs from a noble's. To them, winning honorably is no virtue. They care only about winning itself. It may look very different from an ordinary noble duel. Even if you win, you may well be scolded for it. But even so, it can still bring you an ending in which you have won. Do you truly wish to learn it? Of course I do. This time I have to win. Back to the present. Dilla began reading the situation exactly as Derek had taught her. She poured mana out at once to raise several ice pillars, then began weaving and running between them as cover. Reg was far stronger than she was, but she never forgot what Derek had told her. Even between mercenaries there are gaps in strength, and yet victory remains possible. Because what they engage in is not a duel, but a fight. And just as Derek had predicted, Reg was a novice in combat. He kept forcing the wind edges off their path, burning through a staggering amount of mana. The blades grew slower and weaker than any proper one-star spell. Only for that reason could Dilla evade them by a hair. Derek had said that in a fight one must shape the field and use every advantage available. In other words, win by any means. And driving an opponent into complacency was itself an advantage to be used. Once she saw she could no longer evade the wind edge, Dilla poured her mana out again and raised a wall of ice to absorb the strike. But she had awakened her mana only recently. This intensity of combat was already beyond her. And just then Reggie's voice reached her. "It is over!" Dilla whipped her head around at once. The last wind edge Reg had loosed had curved around behind the walls of ice. The strike landed. Dust and smoke swallowed the platform. No one could see anything within. But Derek did not stir. He trusted that Dilla would not fall so easily. Miliela, watching from the stands, could not stay calm at all. "Dilla, Dilan, what are you standing there for? Stop this duel at once and bring Dilla back." It was then that the Duke spoke. "Return to your seat. The duel is not over." "What are you saying? Dilla was hit by that spell. She was not hit. General Param's array never activated." In truth, beyond the platform, the Duke was watching one other person. That was Derek, seated off to one side. From the beginning, the Duke had been watching his reactions. Derek had not so much as blinked. Could he have foreseen everything unfolding now? Elsewhere, as the duel dragged on with no end, Reg stepped into the smoke himself. By rights, Dilla had been struck by the wind edge, yet the protective array had not triggered. So where had she gone? And just then, Reg glimpsed a familiar figure in a gap beneath the platform. But before he could react, the boards under his feet began to creak. In an instant, a pillar of ice erupted up through the floor. The sudden strike made Reg flinch. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, and the pillar only pierced his cloak. But Reg could not believe Dilla had crawled beneath the platform to attack him. For by Dilan's own words earlier, leaving the bounds of the platform meant instant defeat. Yet one look at Dilan's face made it clear. What Dilla was doing broke no rule. It was only that in all the noble duels before this, no one had ever fought in a manner so crude. No sooner had Reg thought it than the boards beneath him sounded again. He looked ungainly doing it, but he still evaded the ice pillar that erupted without warning. And it was not over. Almost at once, 3 more pillars shot up along his flank. The attacks could not be seen, and their positions could not be guessed. And one hit would end him. On Dilla, at that moment, not a shred of noble bearing could be found. And just then, Reg finally located her beneath the platform. Only now did he see her eyes clearly. There was not a single ripple of feeling in them. They were not the eyes Dilla should have. And yet Reg felt certain he had seen them somewhere before. The answer came quickly. They were the eyes of the mercenary who had not changed expression even with Valerian's fist at his collar. Only then did Reg realize that the tactics Dilla was using bore the unmistakable mark of that tutor. Knowing the truth, Reg saw no further need to maintain his noble poise. Without a moment's hesitation, he tore the cloak from his back. Dilla had cast off the etiquette of noble dueling entirely and moved only for victory, so he had no choice but to answer in kind. "What on earth is this? How could she get beneath the platform? There is nothing but filth down there. My dear, what are you doing? Stop them at once. Dilla has broken no rule. Watch the duel to its end." Duke Dupreen had lived on battlefields in his youth. There was not a trace of surprise on his face. He merely rested his chin on his hand and looked down in silence. Meanwhile, beneath the platform, Dilla was not striking blindly. She was watching the changes above her with great care. More precisely, she was watching the flow of mana. The moment Reg began an incantation, she could trace the flow of mana to find him, which meant Reg had to either break his incantation to evade or convert an attacking spell into a defensive one. Reg quickly grasped her intent. She meant to drain his mana dry. But just then, Reg found his way out. Dilla, too, noticed the flow of mana above had vanished. She knew he was scheming something. But whatever Reg intended, she need only keep breaking his incantations. Looking at Reg then, even Dilan was struck dumb. For Reg had climbed the pole bearing the crest of House Dupreen. From up there, Dilla could not sense his incantation. But by the same token, he could not complete one properly either. So the only solution was to smash the platform to pieces and leave her nowhere to hide. Without hesitation, Reg loosed a mana arrow at the base of the pole. The pole bearing the family crest came crashing down, and Reg seized the moment to leap onto its shaft. His purpose was simple: let the pole shatter the platform and carry him beneath it at the same time. Watching it happen, Miliela was struck speechless. She had never imagined the son she took such pride in would do such a thing. But Reg had no attention left for what anyone thought. The instant he dropped below, he began hunting for any trace of her. Soon enough, he spotted a running figure through the dust. Without hesitation, Reg loosed a mana arrow. As the arrow flew, Dilla too sensed the ripple of mana around her. She poured her mana out at once to raise an ice pillar, but she quickly discovered her mana was no longer enough to cast anything, which meant she would have to recover her mana while running. By good fortune, the dust was so thick that Reg's arrow drifted slightly off course. But what surprised Reg was that Dilla was charging straight at him. A single mana arrow landing would win him the duel. What Reg did not expect was that she abandoned magic entirely and drove a kick straight into his chest. In that instant, he saw that killing intent in his sister's eyes once again. The killing intent that would use any means to reach its end, the same he had seen countless times since childhood. The kick landed squarely on his chest and left him struggling for breath. But the thing he had not expected was still to come. Dilla scooped up a handful of earth and flung it straight into his eyes. Though he saw her intent at once, Reg still gave her the opening she needed. And she seized it, climbing the fallen pole back up onto the platform. But that act also told Reg her mana had run dry. From her bearing, Reg could read her will plainly. I want to win. I will win by any means. I want to prove my worth through victory. What she did stirred Reggie's fighting spirit at last, not as an opponent, but as her brother. When Reg climbed back onto the platform, she was standing not far off watching him in silence. She was covered in blood, but her eyes were fierce beyond measure. And at that moment, Dilla remembered what Derek had taught her that night. Imagine you are holding a brush. Mana is the paint. The incantation is the brush. Use the brush to gather the scattered paint into a picture. That is magic. Beneath the night sky, the white-haired boy raised as a mercenary had said exactly that. The girl looked at the world through eyes that held a whole sky of stars, and the thought came to her that she wanted to paint it. The starry sky of that night, the mana drifting in the air and the boy beside her. She wanted to paint every part of it. The moment she closed her eyes, that night rose before her again. She wrung out the last drop of mana in her body, imagining her fingertips painting across an enormous canvas. Without her noticing, the mana in the air began to answer her call, coiling around her fingers. Feeling the cold spread in waves around her, Dilla's first work was about to take shape. The instant she opened her eyes, she loosed the first one-star spell of her life. A spear of ice radiating a cold that cut to the bone appeared at her side. It was the one-star spell Ice Lance. Dillon nearly jumped out of his skin at the sight. My dear, look, one-star magic. Dilla has used one-star magic. The one-star Ice Lance, so you have finally done it, Dilla. The moment that lance appeared, no one wanted to stop the duel any longer, and Reg swore silently to offer his sister the greatest respect he could. Without hesitation, he formed a volley of magic arrows. Dilla had used one-star magic, but Reg believed the outcome would not change. The instant the lance was fully formed, Dilla sent it flying at him. Almost simultaneously, Reg released every arrow around him. 2 one-star spells collided at the center of the platform and burst. Dust swallowed everything again. In that moment, Miliela's heart held nothing but fear for her youngest daughter. The dust thinned. At the center of the platform, a defensive spell shimmered, announcing that the duel was over. Both Dilla and Reg had given everything they had in that duel, and the duel that would decide Derek's fate finally gave its answer as the smoke cleared. The one whose protective magic had unfurled was Dilla. Though she had spent every ounce of strength and used every means available, she had still lost. Casting one-star magic for the first time, drained of strength and mana, her ice lance had missed. Watching it, Derek said nothing. He only lowered his head in silence. A moment later, Dilla crumpled under the weight of defeat, tears the size of beans rolling down her face. Through the whole duel, both Dilla and Reg had satisfied Duke Duprin entirely. My dear, look at the state of this. Does a fight with no dignity whatsoever deserve to be called a mage duel? The Duke did not answer. He simply watched Dilla at the center of the platform. I cannot watch any longer. That so-called tutor taught our Dilla such things. Truly, no commoner should ever have been allowed near our little girl. Raymond Oswald Duprin still remembered riding the battlefields from a very young age. On the road to becoming a duke, Raymond had met more people than he could count. And nearly all those nobles shared one thing. Their eyes shone. But not everyone was like that. When a person tastes failure and defeat from childhood, their eyes turn hollow. He remembered clearly the girl who, after countless failures, had shut herself in a villa and stared at the wall with empty eyes. The Duke had no way to help his daughter, so all he could do was bear with her as much as he was able. He hoped time would soothe the wound in her heart. He hoped that one day those eyes would shine again. He had always believed and always waited for Dilla to find her own road. There is little else the parents of a lost child can do. In a duel the whole world had predicted she would lose, she reached for victory by any means available. And in those eyes brimming with the tears of defeat burned the hunger to win, and the hunger to be acknowledged. "Lady Dilla, are you all right? You must be treated at once."
She did not answer. She only pushed the maid's hand quietly aside.
Steadying herself, Dilla walked unsteadily toward Reg, her swollen eyes still holding that refusal to accept defeat. Reg looked down at his battered sister and found himself lost for words. What should have been a ceremonial duel between nobles had come to this. "You did well, Dilla." She did not answer. She only bowed her head to him in silence. Then she walked past him. The maids closed in again. "Let us take you inside. You must be treated first." Dilla still did not answer. She only kept her head down and walked stubbornly on. At last she stepped down from the platform and stopped in front of Derek. Derek said nothing. He only looked up quietly at his student. In truth, Dilla knew that a noble like her should not weep before a commoner. But in that moment, every grievance and every frustration in her heart rose up at once. I lost. She had 1,000 words within her, but only those two reached her lips. Derek, of course, understood. To have come this far was already remarkable. Losing is all right. Failure follows a person all their life. But that is what life is. Only by letting go of the win or loss in front of you can you grow stronger. Derek was a man of few words, so to Dilla, every sentence he spoke carried enormous weight. At those words, the dam she had held up by force finally broke. She choked, and the hot tears came. Surrounded by maids scrambling to take her away for treatment, she wept and wept again. And just then, the Duchess Miliella came down from the stands. "Dilla!" She hurried to her daughter's side. "Dilla, my precious girl, how did you come to this? These past months must have been so hard for you." "Mother, it is all right now. Go and be treated first." "Trust your mother. Mother will set everything right for you." And so Miliella watched through her tears as the maids led Dilla away. Then her gaze shifted, fixing on the white-haired mercenary standing not far off. Making no attempt to hide her fury, she strode toward him. "You despicable creature, do you know what you have done? Because you taught one-star spell, you think yourself something." Without hesitation, she struck him full across the face. "You self-righteous wretch. You took the vulgar tricks of commoners and taught them to our pure and precious daughter." Having said it, she struck him a second time. "There exists in this world a realm that vermin like you will never comprehend. A realm that honors etiquette, preserves dignity, demonstrates strength through mage duels, and protects what is worthy through authority. My dear, you saw it too. That was no mage duel at all. And he taught our Dilla such things." What happened next left everyone present stunned. Her face wrenched to one side, Miliella realized she had just been struck. "Do you not know who is behaving most frivolously here? What are you saying? This creature is nothing but a commoner. You are not wrong. He is indeed a commoner not worth mentioning, but he is also our daughter's magic tutor. What parent in this world treats their child's teacher this way? Everyone loves their children in their own manner. I hope you can forgive her." Treated so by Duke Duprain, even Derek, always composed, was momentarily at a loss. "It is nothing. There are matters I must discuss with you alone. Follow me to the drawing room." Watching it happen, even Miliella stood frozen where she was. She could not believe Duke Duprain had struck her over a commoner. In the drawing room, the Duke was generous with his praise. "Dilla has been taught very well. As master of this house, I must give you what you are owed. It is the highest level a commoner is permitted to reach. Do you wish to become a 3-star mage?" At those words, Derek froze. Duke Duprain had pointed straight at the thing he wanted most in the world. He had seen through it more coldly than anyone. He knew exactly what it would take to keep Derek in this house. As a wandering mercenary, Derek understood well that when opportunity arrives, you take it. Yes, you brought Dilla to 1-star magic. That was well done. But in the society of Elbest, such an achievement is not enough. House Duprain has many who could guide the young lady. Now that she has grasped magic, she will keep growing without me. You are not wrong, but what my daughter needs is not a magic tutor. She needs a mentor in magic. My eye does not deceive me. Commoner though you are, you carry an ambition a man of your station is not even permitted to dream of. You must know how great an offense that is in the eyes of proud nobles. But given what you have achieved, I can turn a blind eye. The Duke was right. Derek's goal was not 3 stars, but a level of 4 stars or beyond. The man had seen through it all with nothing but his eyes. That was what made him formidable. Holding such ambition, I doubt you will remain long in a noble house like this one. In truth, I have long known you were prepared to leave Elbest. You are correct. It is not that I fail to understand your ambition, but I would still have you teach Dilla a while longer. And so, to keep Derek, the Duke granted him free access to House Duprene's 3-star spellbooks. Not long after, Derek descended into the underground archive. Among the rows of spellbooks, he drew one out at random. Across pages so thin they seemed ready to crumble, dense lines of entirely unfamiliar script were inscribed. There was no doubt. These were genuine 3-star spellbooks. Bear in mind that even a 2-star spellbook belonged only to the exceedingly wealthy. Yet every volume on these shelves, without exception, was 3-star. The archive of one of the 3 foremost ducal houses of the Western continent was indeed something else entirely. These books alone were reason enough for Derek to stay. The only trouble was Perrin, who loathed nobles. If she found out, there would be difficulties. A few days passed, and Dilla's injuries had nearly healed. I am a 1-star mage now. You can merely use 1-star magic. That does not yet make you a 1-star mage. How can you say that? Should you not be pleased that your student has achieved so much? I am glad for you from the bottom of my heart. Still, it was not easy at all. You seem to have recovered well. After that duel, you wept quite hard. I did not weep. There was too much dust down there. It got in my eyes. Besides, Father should have told me sooner. I thought you were about to be sent away. Then let us begin the lesson. Since you progressed so quickly, the other 1-star spells should come easily. At that, Dilla leaned in beaming. What did you just say? Quickly, what? I meant the speed of your progress. To use 1-star magic so soon after awakening your mana is not common. Did I not tell you? I am a woman of my word. So what do we learn next? Mana Arrow or Wind Edge. Reg used both of them. They looked magnificent, though my Ice Lance is impressive too. With a little more practice, I might even land a hit on Reg. What we are going to learn is Mana Manifestation. Why? Were we not going to learn 1-star magic? There are many reasons. But whatever else, the foundation matters most. Explained in full, it comes down to mana in the end. I understand. If you say so, there is nothing for it. And here I thought I would be learning 1-star magic. All that excitement for nothing. As she spoke, Dilla stole a glance at him with those wide eyes, only to find him already looking at her. Why are you staring at me like that? Is there something on my face? No, my lady, it is only that you are being so obedient. I find it strange. What sort of person do you take me for? Have I not respected your opinion from the very start? Because the first time we met, you poured filthy water over my head. Twice. You still remember that. It is not an easy thing to forget. The weather really is lovely today. Mana Manifestation must be terribly interesting. I cannot wait to begin. Watching the girl squirm through her embarrassment, Derek could only sigh. The lesson ran until nightfall. Dilla ended it flat on her back on the ground. Your magic lessons will continue as usual. Besides, I hear you will be very busy from now on. Seeing him approach, Dilla sat up quickly. So you heard about that too. From next week, I have general studies as well. They say it is to prepare me for society. Is that not a good thing? Now that you have 1-star magic, you can begin proper noble instruction. Good. Nothing. Noble etiquette, foreign languages, geography, history, botany, piano. I have no idea why I must learn any of it. How on earth did Azarin survive all this? That is why she is called the flower of House Duprane and the center of Elbest society. I only want to focus on magic. Study what you wish. His Grace has hired me, so I have time in abundance. Truly. That much time. At this point, is there anyone left who could drive me out? Of course there is. Father has accepted you, but Mother will not let this go so easily. What reason would the Duchess have to remove me, must you ask? Learning from you takes me further from noble refinement by the day. She fears I will end up exactly like a mercenary. From that duel alone, it is already a world away from the refinement nobles pursue. She may well find some excuse to send you off. That would be no great matter. My lady, silencing the Duchess is far easier than you imagine. You need only leave her no reason at all. When it comes down to it, does the whole matter not rest in your hands, my lady? The next morning, Miliella paced the ducal estate, sick with worry. For in her mind, Derek was a mercenary of the most unforgivable sort. Every day she pictured him teaching Dilla the tricks only mercenaries used. She had even imagined the day Dilla would walk into society with a wild boar slung over her shoulder. The thought of Dilla becoming a second Derek gave her a headache that would not fade. She could not allow her lovely daughter to become such a thing, not even with her husband's blessing on the man. Ordering her thoughts as she went, she made for the front hall, determined to solve this at any cost. But opening the door, she found the daughter she had thought of night and day standing right in front of her. Mother, Dilla, my precious girl. Miliela threw her arms wide to receive the child about to rush into them. People said such behavior was improper, but how could Miliela refuse her adorable daughter? What surprised her was that the girl never rushed into her arms at all. Did you sleep well last night, Mother? Instead of throwing herself in as always, Dilla lifted her skirts gracefully at either side and bowed her head. In that instant, Miliela hardly dared believe what she was seeing. I have kept to the annex while recovering and could not attend upon you often. It is much to my regret. I should have liked to talk with you, but I have a piano lesson this morning. At that, Miliela slipped instinctively into her noble bearing. I see. My schedule of instruction is rather tight. Forgive my discourtesy. Dilla inclined herself slightly in apology. Dilla, your etiquette lessons have not even begun. Do they not start next week? Yes, thank you for your concern, Mother. I am looking forward to them. In that instant, Miliela seemed to see a shadow of Asurin in her. The transformation left her stumbling over her own words. Just as Dilla passed a maid, the board in the maid's arms clattered to the floor. Your boards have all fallen. Do take care not to hurt yourself. Do not push yourself too hard. In that instant, the maid seemed to behold the most terrifying thing of her life. Yes. Lady Dilla. Beyond the northern wall of Elbest lay the noble quarter. Azrin's face has been smiling again lately. At the last gathering, she looked so downcast, I worried for ages. Was it that obvious? I never meant to give you cause for worry, but most of what troubled me has been resolved, so I feel much lighter. That is wonderful. I heard Lady Azarin often goes outside the noble quarter to help people. It worried me a great deal. The speaker was Allant, second daughter of Count Belmild. Thank you for your concern, Lady Allant. In truth, it was my sister Dilla who needed a magic tutor. I went to find one myself, which is why I was busy. Allant could not hide her astonishment. How remarkable must a tutor be for Asurin to seek him out in person? You mean your sister, Lady Dilla? This time it was Denise, second daughter of House Beltis, who spoke. That is right. I saw Dilla at the estate not long ago. She is a different person from before. Every inch a graceful young lady. I hear she can even cast one-star magic. Her bearing was so composed it shamed me into thinking I must work twice as hard. Denise found it strange. House Duprin had never let slip a word about Dilla before. Have you found some excellent magic tutor? Yes. His station is nothing remarkable, but his ability to teach is truly exceptional. Going in person to the Belderon Mercenary Company was well worth it. The instant the word mercenary was spoken, both Denise and Allant were shaken to the core. Allant suddenly remembered that the current head chef of House Belmild was the very man Dilla had driven out of House Duprin. He had been driven out, they said, for nothing more than serving a soup a little too hot. A little demon like that had not only reformed, but transformed into a one-star mage. In that instant, Allant's interest in the tutor Azarin spoke of grew enormous. Lady Azarin, might you tell me the name of that tutor? If he is Lady Dilla's teacher, he will surely become far more famous in time. I should like to know his name in advance. I see, his name is Derek. Meanwhile, Derek understands only a little noble etiquette, but he has taught me a great deal. Learning it alone truly was too difficult. So you have been teaching yourself noble etiquette. That is admirable indeed. Some of it I taught myself, but most of it Derek taught me. Did you meet any difficulties studying alone? Most of it was very difficult. It is thanks to Derek that I have come this far. I see. After that conversation, Miliela's head held nothing but the name Derek. She could not accept that her precious daughter could not speak 3 sentences without that commoner's name in them. She did not understand what he had done to her girl. But she knew absolutely that this could not be left alone. She could already picture what was coming. Lady Dilla has been so kind to the servants lately. She has grown gentle. Lady Dilla seems in wonderful spirits lately. Such a change in only a few weeks. It really is astonishing. Before, one only saw such bearing in Lady Asserin. Lady Dilla carries herself like a noble now. It is all thanks to Master Derek. Miliella swore she would change every bit of this. Time passed. Derek was studying 3-star magic alone. But this time, the boy of extraordinary talent had run into no small obstacle. Between him and a 3-star mage lay a single threshold, subtle beyond description. For these books held only magic as codified by the Order School. Derek was a mage of the Wild School, and he needed to learn in combat. Just then, Reg's voice came from behind him. "Forgive me, I have not interrupted your training, have I?" "Not at all, my lord. What brings you here?" "It is about Dilla. There are things I wish to say to you. Come to think of it, is that a 3-star spellbook in your hands?" "Yes, his grace lent it to me." Hearing it came from his own father, Reg visibly faltered. "I cannot reach that level yet, but there is no harm in studying ahead." Reg suddenly remembered that when he had wanted to challenge Derek, his father had stopped him. At the thought, a cold sweat broke over him. "You truly are formidable. So what brings you here concerning my lady? That is, well, how shall I put it? Do you know what girls of that age like?" From the look of him, Reg meant to apologize to Dilla. "Embroidery, perhaps, or a doll made in her likeness. Do you think she would like that?" In that instant, Derek remembered the doll Valerian had made. "That is absolutely out of the question." Derek refused, entirely straight-faced. "In truth, I thought so too, and I never said I would make it myself. Thinking it over, it really is not a good idea. If you have finished your training, it is about time we headed back." On the way back, Reg slowly settled himself. "Whatever else, I am truly grateful to you. The mood in the house has been very good lately. Brother Valerian is devoting himself to the domain. Father says nothing, but he looks well satisfied. Is that so? His Grace's mind is difficult to read indeed. On that point, everyone in this house would agree. Perhaps I too should accept what needs accepting. People can change, especially at that age. In truth, I am not sure whether I never noticed or deliberately looked away. But if Dilla has changed, then I would like to try changing myself." "It is all thanks to you, Derek. Truly, thank you." At that, Derek simply lowered his head. "Come to think of it, Dilla's magic seems to work in a rather unusual way. You notice the difference, how shall I put it? To me, it felt like watching someone paint." It struck Derek then that nobles were nobles after all. In the ability to perceive mana, an unbridgeable gulf separated them from commoners by birth. "You are correct. Lady Dilla handles mana in the manner of the Wild School. The Wild School. I have heard something of it. Perhaps once she reaches a certain level, she will be able to study on alone, even without my teaching. And once she reaches that point, a teacher's interference would only hinder her growth." "I see. A certain level. There will come a day when she sees the light." Before anyone noticed, 2 months had passed since Dilla changed. "Why are there flowers here? I saw them blooming so beautifully and I wanted to pin them in your hair, so I brought them. They smell wonderful. These past few months it feels as though spring has never left this house." She now used 1-star magic with ease, and she had grown far closer to the servants. "In all that time before, I missed so much. It is all thanks to Derek. I wondered why you were in such fine spirits today. It is a magic lesson day. Do I look that cheerful? We must pin these beautifully. Give me just one of the rest. I am taking it to Derek." But before long, the flower meant for Derek fell heavily to the ground. The girl who had been so full of anticipation was struck down by a piece of news she never saw coming. Her eyes were already brimming. "What do you mean?" Beside Derek stood Valerian, who should have been managing the domain. "It is exactly as you heard. Given your present state, my lady, I have nothing further to teach you. The seasons have always turned this way. There is no eternal winter, and by the same token, no eternal spring. I expect your grace has already noticed. Lady Dilla belongs to the Wild School, and her personal color in it is exceptionally strong. If I continue to interfere, I will only break those wings." "I understand. Then I no longer have reason to keep you in this house. You are correct." After a brief silence, the Duke rose from his chair. "Thanks to you, a great many things have changed, and thanks to you, my daughter has grown. I buried myself in the affairs of the domain and failed in the duties of a father. At last I can set my mind at rest. When do you intend to leave?" "I hear Lady Asserin will visit the estate before long and then return to Elbest. I intend to leave with her carriage." "I see. Return the archive key now." "Yes. I will place the spellbook I am reading back in its position and return the key through the steward. There is no need for such trouble. Return the key now." Derek understood his meaning at once. His eyes fell to the spellbook at his hip. If there is nothing else, you may withdraw. The 3-star spellbook at his hip was the Duke's parting gift. Neither spoke of it in perfect understanding. Derek bowed and withdrew from the study. In the corridor outside, Dilla had been waiting in silence for a long while. You appeared out of nowhere, and now out of nowhere you say you are leaving. My lady. Derek had no idea how long she had been standing there. What am I supposed to do? I know you will not listen, but I will say it anyway. Must you go? Can you not stay? Hearing the plea in her voice, Derek was silent for a moment. I will go back to being a mercenary as I was before, and I will keep working at magic. So long as you work at raising your own strength, when you make your debut in society, you will come to Elbest yourself, will you not? We can meet again then, and when my own level has risen a little further, I will have new things to teach you. You really are infuriating. You always leave me with nothing to say. That night, for the first time in a long while, Dilla had that nightmare again. The grating voices that had vanished when Derek appeared, and those smiles full of malice had found their way back to her. Though she was a 1-star mage now, though she carried herself as a noble should, she was still as helpless as a child. Exactly as in the days before Derek came, Dilla was torn from sleep by the nightmare. She sat up, drenched in cold sweat. Moonlight fell through the stirring curtains into the dark room. So it was a dream. Dilla gasped for breath, trying to shake the feeling of it. My lady, are you all right? Hearing the scream, a maid rushed in at once. Seeing the maid, a thought surfaced in Dilla's mind. Derek was leaving because there was no reason for him to stay. But if she went back to how she had been and threw everything into chaos again, Dilla remembered clearly. Derek had told her that the whole matter rested in her hands. My lady, are you well? Are you unwell somewhere? Seeing her like that, the maid was visibly frightened. Inside her, a violent struggle was underway. She need only cause one great scene now, and Derek might well stay. At last she spoke. It is nothing. For it had struck her that if she made a scene, she would merely be denying everything Derek had done. Even if Derek chose to leave, she could not with her own hands render all his work meaningless. Time flew. The day of parting soon came. Will you get down at the Elbest Gate or the commercial quarter? The commercial quarter would be more convenient. Thank you for your kindness. Say your farewells. We leave shortly. At Azarun's words, Derek could not help turning around. Unlike the day he arrived, this time the whole younger generation of House Dupreen had come to see him off. So you truly are going. I must return to where I belong. Life in this house cannot have been easy. You have worked hard these months. If anything happens, be sure to contact me. Whatever lies within my power, I will help. Thank you very much. As they inclined their heads, Derek bowed in return. When he raised his head, he looked toward the one person in the crowd who had not spoken. Dilla lifted her chin slightly and stared at him with her nose in the air. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Did you imagine I would cry and cling to you so you could not leave? Do not misunderstand. I am not a child anymore. It has been my honor to teach you, my lady. Though you cannot openly declare me your teacher, I hope at least you will remember the magic I taught you. I am terribly sorry. I intend to declare you my teacher very openly indeed. Even if you wish to live quietly, I am afraid that is no longer up to you. You are, after all, the tutor of the great Lady Dilla. Dilla expected some reply, but Derek only looked at her in silence. And that only made the ache in her chest worse. Do not go off being a mercenary and get yourself hurt. I will be fine. It is you, my lady, who must take care of your health. There is nothing to worry about with me. I am an adult now. I can look after myself. In that instant, an old memory struck Derek without warning. I am an adult now. I can look after myself. The day Katia left, he had said exactly those words. But Katia had shown no relief at all. Instead, she had bent down and held him tightly, her face more troubled than before. She had whispered a very short sentence in his ear. The Derek of that time could not understand it at all. Now years had passed, and he had a student of his own. Watching that student square her shoulders and declare herself grown, Derek finally understood. The girl was still so young, she would lose her way many more times yet. And on those waves of life, how precarious the small figure calling herself grown truly was. So he gave his student the very words his teacher had given him. My lady, you do not need to become an adult so soon. At those words, Dilla's eyes went wide. She bit down on her lip, fighting to hold everything in. But in the end, she could not stop the tears. She only blinked slowly, her eyes gone red. Realizing there was little time left, Dilla stopped hiding what she felt. Derek, goodbye. She let the tears fall as they would and waved her teacher away with a smile. Let us meet again in Elbest, my lady. Some time later, the carriage came to a stop in the commercial quarter of Elbest. When Derek pushed open the tavern door, a blonde girl was thrashing a plump boy. Is that not Derek? So you have finally come back. Derek did not answer. He only smiled faintly. He had come home at last. It is no match for noble tea, but this is the honey wine you like. Since it is a welcome drink, let it be on me. Thank you. Were you always this polite? How is it that a spell among nobles has made you worse rather than better? How does a magic tutor like you get nobles to behave? What actually happened? Tell me about it. It was only work. There is nothing worth telling. Why are you carrying yourself like a noble? What on earth happened? Saying it will not cost you a limb. Perrin, that is enough. I have been working myself to death. With him gone, every job these past months fell to me alone. Still, Derek must have made a fortune out of it. He ought to settle the tab generously. Compared to the payment, what I gained was far more important. With that, Derek set the spellbook the Duke had given him down in front of them. Is this a 2-star spellbook? Those nobles handed you something this precious. No, it is not 2-star, it is 3. You did not steal it, did you? If you are caught, your head comes off. So what if it were stolen? A 3-star spellbook. Derek, where did you find it? I am going to steal one too. It was not stolen. The Duke gave it to me, handing that to a commoner. Derek, a whiff of nobility, and you have learned to spin tales like this. It took Derek a good while to make the two of them accept that the book had been a gift from the Duke. Have any new commissions come in? One day back and you already want work. A clearing job of that size is best begun early. I rested too long in the comfort of a noble house. I feel dulled. No need to worry about that. You know how it is. Mages are always in short supply in this trade. There is never a surplus. Then arrange something soon. Ideally a job I can start tomorrow. Early the next morning at the captain's arrangement, Derek and Perrin set out to clear monsters. During his absence, Perrin as an archer had shouldered those jobs alone and had run into no small trouble. But now that Derek was back, she no longer had to worry about lacking firepower. What surprised her was that the newly returned Derek was a workaholic in the truest sense. In a single day, the two of them completed several commissions in a row. Worn out by it all, Perrin fell asleep early every night. And Derek, as always, found an empty corner and went on practicing 3-star magic. Through that stretch of real combat, his understanding of 3-star magic had deepened considerably. Unlike the vague, formless sense before, he had genuinely touched the threshold of 3 stars. But it was precisely that threshold, so near at hand, that made him fail again and again. And unlike 2-star magic, the power of 3-star spells was vastly greater. Every failed casting struck back at him hard. He now commanded most 2-star magic, but for a commoner, the threshold of 3 stars remained too high. Even so, Derek never stopped. He understood well that however gifted a man is, without matching effort, he reaps nothing. Time slipped quietly by. By the time he wielded 2-star magic with ease, the first snow of Elbest had quietly begun to fall. It is far too cold. What sort of cursed weather is this? It is good to be young. In weather like this, you two went all the way to the Kent range. Who could have known? Let me warm up here before I go. Only you would go out on a job in weather like this, the captain said, holding out 2 hot towels. The two of them wiped the blood from their faces at once. Thank you. I have survived after all. You have both worked hard. Rest properly tomorrow. Though there is a commission here that would suit Derek. A commission for me. Simple work and generous pay, only it is a little troublesome. It came from the Rohel Mercenary Company on the Western Road who kicked it away, and the one who posted it is House Belmild. They are seeking a commoner willing to enter mage duels. To put it plainly, they want a sandbag. Derek need only go, take a few spells, and walk away with a tidy sum. But at that point, Derek did not know that the one who had posted the commission was Azarin's acquaintance, Alent. So who is my dueling partner today? To practice my offensive magic today, I engaged a commoner as an opponent. What? You traveled all the way from the north to Elbest just to have me bully commoners with magic. Practical training is precisely this. We have promised them ample compensation, so you may cast as freely as you wish. However you dress it up, this so-called practice is beating commoners. And still, you strike a noble's pose over it. But the commoner engaged this time can use 1-star magic. He will not be entirely defenseless. I am about to become a 2-star mage. 1 star and 2 are worlds apart. Lady Allant, if you truly respect your opponent, then give your full strength. Is that not the etiquette proper to a training ground? Sometime later, led by her tutor, Allant came face to face with her opponent for the day. He is far too young. You are my dueling partner today. Derek rose and bowed. Good day, my lady. My name is Derek. For some reason, Allant felt she had heard the name Derek somewhere before. Let us go up to the platform. Looking him over, she felt he did not resemble a mage in the slightest. But with her tutor pressing her again and again, she stepped onto the platform with him. Before we begin, do you know any of the basic etiquette of a mage duel? I have heard something of it, but only the most basic parts. Good. Resist as best you can. I will finish this quickly. In truth, Allant had no wish to bully the weak with magic, so she meant to use Shockwave and knock him off the platform at once. May I ask? When you say resist as best I can, to what degree do you mean? Allant stared. What nonsense is that? To what degree must I resist in order to be of use to your training, my lady? Hearing that, Allant's tutor could only shake his head. And Allant herself let out a scoff. Are you saying that to amuse me? I told you already. Resist with everything you have. Understood. I will obey your command. In an instant, mana bloomed in Derek's hand. Derek's second experience of teaching magic had begun. Only this time, not as a teacher, but as an opponent on the dueling platform. To Allant's eye, reaching 1 star so young was admirable, but for a commoner it was insufferably arrogant. So she would show him exactly how wide the gulf between commoner and noble was. She chose the 1-star spell Shockwave, the spell used when the gap is so great that a duel can be settled in a single beat. But Derek's crimson eyes suddenly widened. Allant felt something was wrong. Shockwave has no visible form. One must sense the mana in an instant to infer its reach. That demands both a strong perception of mana and the agility to evade. In that moment, Allant lost her composure for a heartbeat. She raised her estimation of him at once. Lady Allant, it is time for your next attack. Irritation rose in her. It seems the boy's arrogance has some ground beneath it. But that did not mean the chasm between commoner and noble had closed. Her second spell was Ice Arrow. Unlike Dilla, who had only just learned magic, the arrows she condensed were of far higher quality. Under her control, dozens of ice arrows danced through the air as if alive. Her thinking was simple. If Derek liked to dodge, she would leave him nowhere to dodge too. But to her astonishment, Derek merely flicked out a single mana arrow, and what followed made the young noblewoman's eyes go wide. Every one of her dozens of ice arrows was snapped clean by that one unremarkable shaft of mana. By the time she recovered, his mana arrow was already buried in the ground beside her foot. She could not believe a commoner could control mana to such a degree. Her tutor saw it too. Derek's level of magic was high even among commoners. His claim to be a veteran mercenary was no idle boast. From 2 brief exchanges, Allant understood clearly. This was not an opponent to be handled carelessly. Chanting the incantation particular to the academy school, she opened the distance and drew on 1-star magic again. This time her face was serious, and she called on the fire magic she excelled in. Derek saw she had changed tactics. She was not aiming at him. She meant to shatter the whole platform. From a noble's standpoint, her adaptability was formidable. The instant the incantation ended, she slowly raised her right hand. Unlike the dozens of ice arrows before, the fire arrows she now condensed must have numbered in the hundreds. This was precisely why noble mages always overpowered commoner ones. On sheer volume of mana and firepower alone, they could crush a commoner of equal rank. Derek knew there was no evading an area attack of that scale. Without hesitation, he drew on his mana and threw everything into defending against the rain of fire. It was fortunate he was now a 2-star mage. Otherwise, that single stroke might well have broken him, and Allant, having spent that much mana at once, showed not the slightest sign of running short. When the fire arrows ceased, Derek finally dropped the barrier he had held all that time, and just then, he felt a faint ripple of mana. The rain of fire had been a screen. Her true strike was the ice lance she had quietly condensed while his vision was blocked. At their present distance, Derek could neither evade nor raise the barrier again. He had to admit it. The young lady before him was a genuine prodigy. Without hesitation, he pushed the one-star spell Lightborn to its maximum output. Alant clearly had not anticipated it. The flash that erupted swallowed her vision whole. In such a state, she could only keep her balance by feel. Against an ordinary opponent, the duel would already have been decided. She told herself that if she stayed calm and listened to the sounds around her, she would regain the rhythm of the fight. But even after evading his strike by sensing mana, she heard nothing at all. Alant understood at once. He had used a stunning spell to seal off sound. Fortunately, by then her vision had nearly recovered. Relying on the faint currents of mana in the air, she evaded his mana arrow again. She could not believe the boy before her possessed such terrifying combat experience. She even began to suspect it was not her own mana sense that had let her evade his earlier strikes, but that the boy had been deliberately holding back, drawing her step by step to her own limits. And it was exactly as she suspected. The instant her vision fully returned, Derek loosed 2 mana arrows at once. Against that, she could only throw up a mana barrier. Just as she prepared to gather more mana and counter, Derek abruptly closed the distance. But that suited her perfectly. Her greatest strength was rapid casting. She told herself that the instant mana appeared at his fingertips, she would strike first and end the duel. What surprised her was that Derek showed no sign whatsoever of casting anything. Even when he had planted his feet firmly, not a flicker of mana stirred at his fingertips. In that moment, Alant was utterly at a loss. Had she read it wrong? But the very next second, currents of lightning spread out beneath his feet. It was plainly the one-star spell Current Manifestation, but he had cast it not from his fingertips, but from his toes. Alant was, after all, a prodigy of formidable adaptability. She threw up mana and blocked the strike in the shortest time possible. Without that monstrous reaction speed, she would have lost then and there. Even her tutor could not help praising him inwardly. He looks like the wild school, and yet there is no reading his pattern. And from the standpoint of the academy school, it was beyond comprehension entirely. What an interesting child you are. Honestly, I looked down on you at first. Because back then, I took you for someone who only knew how to boast. As she spoke, Alant walked slowly toward him. The duel was plainly not over, and yet she bowed to him. Thank you for teaching me something so interesting. A glint of mischief flashed in her eyes. Like this, is it? Having watched it only once, she reproduced his casting successfully. But settling a contest with Derek using an unorthodox handling of mana was not a wise move. He took hold of the mana, drew the lightning she had loosed entirely to him, and turned its course. To imitate the wild school's handling of mana on a half-understanding is only to be used against in turn. Knowing none of that, Alant was astounded to see what he had done. This method of striking back with an opponent's own mana was something she had never seen before. Watching his figure draw steadily closer, she already sensed she could not withstand what came next. But at that decisive moment, a bell rang out abruptly from beyond the platform. The 10 minutes were up. The result was recorded as a draw. At the sound of the bell, Derek withdrew the spell he had been about to release. You have worked hard, my lady. As if nothing at all had happened, he bowed to her calmly. But Alant knew perfectly well. Today's match was no draw. She had lost. After that, her manner toward him changed. Still lofty, but her words and gestures now held at least a basic respect. You are a remarkable mage. It is you who are remarkable, my lady. You have a capacity for reading a moment I have never seen in anyone. Looking at you, I would say you know the world of the nobility well. I hear you were born a commoner. With ability like yours, you must have worked yourself past your own bones, because I had to survive as a mercenary, so I did it whether I wished to or not. There is no need to be so modest that you reach for excuses. I have great regard for people who work. But the old mage standing behind me will not care for you, so you had best not provoke him. Thanks to you, I may come away from my next duel with a decent result. With your ability, my lady, there is nothing to be concerned about. Those half-formed mages are hardly fit to be my opponents. The one I truly want to defeat is... In an instant, that familiar figure surfaced in her mind again. Acerin Eleanor Duprain. The opponent she could not defeat however many times they met. The mere thought of her drew Alent's brows together. I have gone and said something strange again. You may return. If you need help in future, send someone to the captain of the Belderon Mercenary Company. But something puzzled her. Derek of the Belderon Company. She felt she had heard that name several times now. And then she remembered. At the last salon, Acerin had said the mercenary's name was Derek. At the thought, Alent's eyes went wide. Could the tutor who had taught Dilla one-star magic be the very Derek standing before her? All thought of noble bearing abandoned, she rushed forward and seized his hand. Is it truly you? The mercenary who taught Dilla magic. And so Derek was kept at Alent's estate until evening. I will speak plainly. If I can defeat Lady Azarin, I will do anything. The one you speak of is Lady Azarin of House Duprain. Yes. She has not yet reached 2 stars. I want to reach 2 stars before her. If that is impossible, then at the very least I must beat her in the next duel. Your will to win is quite extraordinary. Will to win, is it? It seems my disguise has been rather good. Perhaps now it is only a will to win. But once, to defeat Azarin, I used methods I am not proud of. At that, Derek fell silent. He knew this was not a moment to interrupt. Envy is a filthy, ugly thing. I envied Azarin once, but it came to nothing good. However I spoke ill of her behind her back, however I dug for her faults, Azarin only understood me and comforted me in return. When she fell silent, Derek finally spoke. Why are you telling me all this? I lay my weakness bare to show you my sincerity. And of course I have questions of my own for you. You lived in House Duprain, so you must know. How strong is Azarin truly? And after our duel, you know my strength as well. That is why I ask you, what must I do to defeat Azarin? It was plain that Alent had lived far too long in Azarin's shadow. At the question, Derek fell silent as well. After some thought, he gave his answer. Lady Azarin's strength has reached a level that astonishes. But you too possess exceptional strength. So if you simply continue to hone... Derek stopped halfway. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. And the girl before him plainly had not asked in order to hear flattery. Her eyes held nothing but earnestness and sincerity. It was for that reason she had bared her heart to a coarse mercenary at all. At that point, courtesies were meaningless. Looking straight into her eyes, Derek spoke. You will never win. Ordinarily, such an answer produces one of 2 reactions, so he watched her closely. If she turned her anger on him without cause, he would leave this house and never return. If the answer broke her, he would stay a while to console her. But her reaction was this. Even so, I want to win. Not a second of defeat crossed her face. Only then did Derek understand. Perhaps this was not the first time she had heard that answer. Did you not take that notorious Dilla and make a 1-star mage of her? If it is you, surely there is some way for me to beat Azarin. It is not that there is nothing to try, but before that, 2 things trouble me. At that, Alent slipped back into her usual manner. Now we can talk. What things? First, do you know by what method I taught Lady Dilla? Derek was no mage of the academy school, nor did he possess anything resembling a teacher's bearing. Rather than a magic tutor patiently guiding a student, he resembled a mercenary executing a mission. Not gradual guidance, but the most efficient means available at that moment to reach the objective. I do not know the details of such things, but you need not worry. To win, I will do anything. Then the second thing. As you know, I am a mercenary. So what? Let them talk if they wish. Let them say the famous Lady Alent learned magic from a mercenary. But Derek, I am serious. I have set my will on becoming a name that shakes the empire. If I cannot take first place even in the society of Elbest, that would be absurd. So do not weigh my sincerity against such trifling reasons, for I know very well what matters more than pride. While the girl declared her towering ambitions, Derek remained entirely composed. That was not my meaning. I meant that you must pay a reasonable fee. There is no mercenary in this world who works for nothing. In that instant, Alent seemed to have a pause button pressed on her. Realizing her mistake, her cheeks flushed scarlet. Oh, that is what you meant. Naturally. Any sum you like? Is it not a little warm in this room? Derek understood well. Since the girl was sincere, he had to answer with equal sincerity, which meant bringing out the harshest method he had. Only this time he was to help Alent defeat Azarin. The Rosea Salon, the place where the noble ladies of Elbest gathered each season. The next gathering includes a mage duel. I hear Lady Alent's magic has improved rapidly of late, so I must prepare properly as well. Then I absolutely must attend the next one. The lesser nobles from the border regions were flattering her with all their might. Lady Azarin is far too modest. Alent's voice came suddenly from a distance. In her heart, Alent genuinely acknowledged Azarin, but every time she looked at her, envy and resentment still rose in her. In fact, I was speaking of you just now, I know. I heard your voice from across the room. Seeing the 2 of them in such spirited conversation, the 2 lesser nobles knew better than to linger. Even Lady Azarin must prepare. You have not lost a duel all season, truly the flower of House Duprain. Thank you for the praise, but with you as my opponent, I cannot afford to be careless. In truth, I have engaged a new magic tutor, so I have some confidence. He is a commoner by birth, but his record is excellent. For you to arrange it yourself, you must trust this new tutor greatly. To be precise, it is not my trust. It is my trust in you, Lady Azarin. At that, Azarin looked puzzled. The tutor's name is Derek, the very man you mentioned before. At those words, Azarin visibly faltered. Seeing it, Alant assumed she was green with envy that what she had wanted had been taken. Congratulations. You met him yourself, so you must know. He is a man of hidden depth and great reliability. Congratulations on finding such a fine tutor. Alant had not expected Azarin to bless her with a face full of delight. She had assumed her rival would show at least a trace of resentment. Instead, Azarin congratulated her with perfect sincerity. But what Alant did not know was that a memory long buried had just surged back into Azarin's mind. Dilla. What if I asked Master Derek to teach me magic as well? I feel my progress has been so slow lately. If it is Master Derek, surely I could entrust myself to him. Please do not. Unless you absolutely must, never. Because you are very precious to me. At the time, Azarin had thought her sister feared losing her tutor. But recalling Dilla's face now, there was clearly more to it. Seeing Azarin's expression, Alant grew only more excited. Think it through. You understand perfectly what it means that I have taken the tutor named Derek. But Alant had misread her entirely. For what Azarin feared at that moment was Alant herself, who was about to receive Derek's teaching. Lady Alant. In truth, Master Derek is... Goodness, it has grown so late. I must return to my estate at once. It has been such a pleasure speaking with you. But today is my first lesson, so I must hurry back and prepare. Looking at Alent's eager face, Azarin's worry only deepened. She could only console herself. It will surely be fine. Master Derek is not so terrible a man. Neither of them knew that Denise, standing not far off, had heard every word. I knew Lady Alant was competitive, but to place such hopes in a street mercenary merely to win a single duel. At that same hour, at the tavern where Derek stayed, the Tears of Belderon. That is how it stands. For a while I will focus on that commission. House Belmild again. The scale of these things keeps growing. You say it lightly. Defeating Lady Azarin in a duel. Do you think that is possible? It is not entirely hopeless. If Lady Alant could reach 2 stars, then even with Lady Azarin as her opponent, she could overpower her by rank alone. Fine. I have heard the fantasy. Now what is the workable plan? I need your help, old man. The captain looked startled. But there was no denying his strength was beyond question. And to be certain of it, it would be best if Perrin came as well. Once Derek had spoken, the captain had a fair idea of what was coming. You have not thought of anything realistic at all, have you? It is something extremely dangerous. Reality itself is already dangerous, is it not? Some time later, Derek arrived at Alent's estate as agreed. His first lesson was exceedingly simple, nothing but mage duels. 10 repetitions at the basic stage. After that, we moved to refined magic. You mean 10 straight duels from the outset. Since these are only practice, there is no need for etiquette. Let us first examine your basic combat ability. Every inch the mercenary, blunt and direct. Well, I did not call you here to teach me stale history either. If you are ready, my lady, we begin at once. 10 duels later, the platform lay in ruins. Unlike the tutors who spent whole lessons on theory, Derek's lessons were almost entirely casting and fighting. You have worked hard, my lady. Rest 10 minutes, then we will organize your basic spells. Only 10 minutes. But I have no mana left at all. Use any method you like. Wring yourself dry and it will come. I do not want ordinary blocks of ice. Concentrate and condense 10 more ice lances. If you cannot even manage this, what will you do? 5 more to go. Next, 100 mana arrows. My mana is completely spent, no excuses. Condense 1 more. By the time the session ended, Alant had abandoned all noble bearing and lay flat on the platform, gasping. You have worked hard, my lady. You may now take your dinner. Are you all right? If it is too much, giving up is also an option. The instant she heard the words giving up, Alant forced herself upright. Is this all there is? You made me promise again and again that I would do anything, and I wondered what you were plotting. It turns out it is only a little bodily hardship. You would not understand. What I have had to do to survive in the society of Elbest, this is hardly worth mentioning. I see. It seems I did not think it through. Today I am merely tired from attending a social gathering. From tomorrow I will give everything. So, should we not raise the intensity a little tomorrow? At this level, it does nothing at all. You said tomorrow. What do you mean by that, my lady? At that, Alent looked blank. It seems you have misunderstood me. What I said was that you may now take your dinner. So you can joke like that. I did not know you had a sense of humor. I never joke about work I have been commissioned to do, and so the second noble lady Derek taught was reduced to tears by him. From the day the training began, Alent came to believe in an afterlife, because she realized hell was not far away at all. Lady Alent, you can continue. Produce 5 more mana arrows. There is still mana left in you. Only 10 more shafts. Why does the number keep rising? If you cannot run any longer, we will switch to mana awakening drills. I am running, I truly am. After a set like that every day, everything about Alent went soft except her mouth. Are you all right? Of course. These drills are quite entertaining. If you feel you cannot go on, giving up is also a way. Giving up, indeed, this is nothing. It is effortless. Seeing her so stubborn, Derek naturally said no more. Then you have rested enough. Let us go and duel. But I have only just sat down. Time flew. 2 weeks had passed since she entered that demonic training. Lady Denise, if Lady Asarin arrives, please wake me. Understood. Thank you. With all this magic training lately, I have no spirit left in me. There is something I am curious about. Why go to such lengths? At the question, Alent fell silent. Then quickly the light returned to her eyes. I want to win. At that answer, even Denise looked briefly surprised, but she soon returned to her usual manner. Do your best, Lady Alent. I will support you as well. And just then, Denise noticed the crowd not far off. It was Azarin and the lesser nobles who wished to curry favor with her. Lady Azarin has arrived. At that, Alent gathered herself at once. In truth, the 3 central ladies of the Rosea Salon had reached a level where comparison was pointless. All 3 were as splendid as flowers in full bloom. But Alent, who had poured everything into magic, was now visibly worn. Even that earnestness of hers had won her no one's recognition. Had any noble lady newly joined the salon been present, she would never have recognized the red-haired girl before her as the celebrated Alent. Have they gone? They surely did not see it. That state of mind collapsed like a rag. Surely not. What she did not know was that Asarin had no mind to hear anyone at that moment and kept glancing back toward her. Asarin could not help worrying. Lady Alent looks so worn. Is she truly all right? The next morning, the maid attending Alent brought her news. My lady, a gift has arrived from House Duprain. It was a fine little wooden box filled with magical supplies and fresh flowers, and a letter. It seems Lady Azarin sent it. These are all things that aid mana recovery. These are of the highest grade. They will be a great help to you, my lady. Throw it all away. Do not let me see it again. Yes, understood. Prepare me. Has Derek arrived? Yes, my lady. He came before dawn and is preparing now. As for the letter, it was in Asarin's own hand. And out of consideration for Alent's feelings, she had deliberately sent a gift to every lady of the salon. To the esteemed ladies of the Rosea Salon, winter has arrived before we noticed. Soon the white snow will cover everything. In this cold season, are you all keeping well? Our domain has just produced a great many fine goods. Wishing to share them with all of you, I have sent these along. May today too be a peaceful day for you. Respectfully, Asarin. At that same hour, Derek was reading the 3-star spellbook in Alent's estate. When footsteps sounded, he could not help raising his head. You have come early, my lady. Spare me the empty courtesies. Come to think of it, Derek, what do you make of it? You know perfectly well, we have trained for weeks now. Speak honestly. Once again, Derek was silent. And in the end, he gave the same answer as before. Giving up is also a way. The instant he said it again, time seemed to stop. Her gaze sharpened all at once. Why must you always pour cold water on me? If it came across that way, then I apologize. Do you think that is what I asked? I asked what I must do to defeat Azarin. Did I hire you to hear such things? I did not hire you to listen to nonsense about giving up. But Derek did not answer. He only stood there in silence. Say that again and get out. I have no time to waste. It was then that Derek spoke. And if you cannot win, what then? Clinging too fiercely to victory may in fact obstruct your growth. Sometimes accepting defeat calmly is. Before he could finish, Alent burst into tears. Then would I not have lost in the most wretched way possible? Seeing her like that, Derek knew to hold his tongue. I told you, did I not? I am nothing but a useless thing led about by the nose by Asarin, the pillar of House Belmild, the flower of the Rosia salon. There is no such thing. I am only a worthless creature who lowers herself to envy others. I admit all of it. I admit how foolish I am, how wretched. Only then did Alant truly open her heart. I have no reason at all to hate a Siren. I know that perfectly well myself. But why? Why will this cursed inferiority not disappear? Why? The day she brought Derek in, Alant had persuaded him by claiming to expose her weakness. But she was a veteran of 100 battles in society. That had been surface talk. She had never revealed her true reason for wanting to defeat her rival. Derek understood that in such a state he could not help her, so he had kept searching for the answer. Now the last piece fell into place. Alant always carried herself like a proud rose, yet every word and gesture carried a faint self-loathing. The one she hated most had never been Azarin. It was herself. This struggle was not born of simple envy. It was the only way out of the self-loathing and inferiority that held her. I see. Then let us win. At that, Alant froze. I will help you. I will help you defeat Lady Azarin. Her flame-red hair stirred in the morning light. Her eyes shone brighter than they ever had. While Derek taught Alant, her former magic tutor departed for a time. With nothing pressing at hand, Permir decided to return and report. And the man he would report to was of course Alant's father, Count Belmild. As the March Count governing the entire southwestern coastal frontier, Count Belmild's estate was a place of considerable splendor. Permir. So you have returned from Elbest. I trust you are in good health, your lordship. You have come a long way. Rest first. The speaker was Alent's father, Tristan Anelt Belmild. It has been so long since I saw my precious Alant. How has she been in Elbest? She's been well, my lord. Of late, she devotes herself even more to magic. I have never seen a young person as gifted as my Alant. That child will surely surpass me one day. I too hope it may be as you wish. Permir did not dare tell Tristan that Alant was learning magic from a commoner. Speaking of which, Permir, I have business in Elbest before long. It would be pleasant to surprise my precious Alant now and then. What gift do you think would suit? The young lady would surely be delighted. Permir could not help wondering what he was to do when that day came. Elsewhere, Derek had brought Alant to a dungeon to begin her next training. Honestly, I have my doubts. Is it truly all right to bring a noble lady into a dungeon? Derek must have his reasons. You really mean to send me into a dungeon? This is the easiest one nearby. There should be no trouble. Even so, what am I supposed to do in there? And going in unprepared like this is truly fine. You must train your combat instincts through real fighting. In case of anything, my companions and I will accompany you. Are you serious? The duel is only days away. With so little time, this is the best method available. Alant wanted to say more, but in the end, she simply held her tongue. A noble lady raised in comfort, she had never once set foot in a dungeon. So even things utterly ordinary were enough to leave her rigid. Please relax. This is only a low-tier dungeon, but you must still keep your concentration. She had declared she would do anything. Now she genuinely regretted it. And that state of hers naturally grated on Perrin, who had no love for nobles. Derek, there is a pack of goblins ahead. I hear them, too. There is something large behind them. It looks like an ogre. Alant jumped. You said an ogre. Dealing with one ogre is no trouble for you, is it? That depends on how much I am paid. Settle the accounts after the fight. You will not be shortchanged. No sooner had Derek spoken than the goblins ahead came swarming in. In that instant, Alant lost her composure entirely. The monsters she had only seen in books stood before her. Goblins were only low-tier creatures. But when had Alant ever seen a swarm like this? Raised in comfort since childhood, she had never had to face such ugly things at all. More than the pressure of their strength, what she had to bear was psychological. But to Derek and his companions, this was routine. Cover me. With that, he charged into the goblins without a moment's hesitation. And Perrin, his partner of long standing, drew her bow at once to give covering fire. Derek had brought Alant to the dungeon for 3 reasons. Every fight she had known had been a duel. She had no concept of real combat whatsoever. And noble duels always carried protective magic. They never tasted this kind of savagery. The last was the spirit. Derek needed her to overcome fear. Azarin had never entered a dungeon either, but she had at least seen many monsters while clearing them from her domain. So in fighting of this bloody kind, Azarin's nerve would certainly hold better than Alant's. And against an enemy she could not defeat, Alant had to overcome the fear that Azarin herself was. Only when nothing that happened in a duel could frighten her would she have even a sliver of a chance. In the end, All of it was to widen her horizons. Every duel she had known was nothing but children playing house. Once she had seen a wider world, she would no longer be bound by that small platform. By then, even without Derek preparing any tactic, she could judge each situation for herself. "Cute little thing, how old are you this year?" Without hesitation, the captain took the ogre's arm off with a single stroke. It happened exactly as Derek had foreseen. The fight struck Alent like a hammer. But the crux of the training rested with her. She had to accept it all and overcome it. At that moment, her fear had reached its peak. She truly believed she was going to die in this place. "My lady, one is coming your way. Pull yourself together." It was an ordinary goblin. A single casual spell from her would have ended it. But her mind held only one thought: "I'm going to die here. Lady Alent, you must kill it here." His sudden words woke her completely. She remembered the dawn when she had bared her heart to him. What Alent hated had never been Asarin. It was the self riddled with inferiority. And when she looked up at the charging goblin, she finally saw it clearly. That was no goblin at all. It was her own arrogant, ugly self. She had done contemptible things out of envy. Only now did she remember why she had come here at all. She had come to grow stronger, to kill the thing standing in front of her. The goblin was as vicious as ever, but Alent was no longer the same. Watching it, Derek was finally at ease. Because he knew the purpose of this training had been achieved. To the captain and Perrin, this was a goblin so ordinary it could not be more ordinary. So neither of them could understand why the girl reacted so extravagantly. Purely in terms of casting a spell, it was an exceedingly simple matter. Yet Alent's body still shook, and cold sweat ran down her cheeks. Perhaps only she knew how difficult a thing it had been. To be precise, two of them knew. She and Derek. From the look of him, that goblin had been let through on purpose. Alent felt grateful. She had taken one step further, or rather, she had at last taken her first step. Sometime before, Derek had received a letter from his teacher, Katia. "It has been more than 2 years since I left Elbest. Forgive me for contacting you so late. I am teaching magic to the daughter of Count Elbest. Her enthusiasm for learning runs very high. So I have a great deal to teach her, and my hands are never idle. Life is hard, but it is free and joyful beyond measure. Of every mage I have met in my life, Derek, you are the most gifted. What level have you reached by now? On the day we meet again, you must show me your magic. Your teacher, Katia Flameheart. Come to think of it, we have been here 2 weeks. Whenever you have a spare moment, you take that thing out. May I ask now what it is?" "Nothing remarkable, only a letter my teacher sent me. If she taught a mage such as you, she must be a truly extraordinary teacher." At that, Derek showed little reaction. She is indeed an extraordinary teacher. Seeing him like that, Alent lost all interest in continuing. "Earlier which moment do you mean? Never mind. The duel is 2 days away, how do you feel?" "Feelings are not something I understand well. How shall I put it?" After some thought, she gave her answer. "I do not know why, but I feel that this time I will certainly win." 2 days passed in a blink. The day of the duel had arrived. As always, Asarin was conversing with the lesser nobles around her. But then her attention was drawn away by one man. That man was Derek, present as Alent's magic tutor. "Forgive me, I have a private matter and must excuse myself." Having given her instructions to her attendants, Asarin walked over to him alone. "Master Derek, I am so glad to see you. It has been a long time, Lady Asarin. I heard you have been instructing Lady Alent in magic. Your information is quick indeed. Circumstance brought it about. I have offered a few pointers, no more." After that, a brief silence fell between them. "You are unchanged, though you have not been too severe with her, I hope. Dilla once said you were no ordinary magic tutor, and Lady Alent has looked so exhausted lately, so I have been a little worried." "Worried even for your opponent, you must be very confident. Let me offer you a hint. Whoever your opponent may be, please do not take her lightly." She did not know why he said it, but given his present position, Asarin could not converse with him for long. "Who do you think will win? Unless Lady Alent can use 2-star magic, Lady Asarin will certainly take it. But Lady Alent is rather pitiable. Her face has grown so thin. Everyone look! Lady Asarin is taking the platform. She is as lovely as ever today." Asarin inclined herself slightly and bowed to her supporters. Almost at the same moment, footsteps sounded from the opposite side. "This time I will certainly win." Unlike Asarin, Alent's entrance drew barely a cheer. "Whatever happens, the winner of this duel will be me." Perhaps of everyone present, only Derek knew how formidable this Alent had become. "Have you been well lately, Lady Alent?" Has the great Lady Azarin been well? Your unshakable composure has always been my model. But what Azarin said next took her by surprise. In all my duels before this, I've never been as nervous as I am today. I doubt we need many pleasantries between us. Shall we begin? The instant she said it, Azarin's eyes changed. Without hesitation, Alent unleashed the fire magic she excelled in most. Azarin answered at once with the wind magic she took pride in. The fight had not truly begun, yet everyone could feel it. This was no ordinary duel. Without hesitation, Alent began the incantation for the one-star spell Flame Arrow, and what followed made even Azarin's eyes go wide. Everyone knew Alent's mana reserves were enormous, but at the sight of that dense forest of fire arrows, Azarin lost herself for a moment. Derek's students differed from ordinary noble ladies from the very will they threw into winning. But Azarin did not know that all of this was a tactic Derek had prepared for her. If you compete purely in magical craft, you will absolutely never win. Then what am I to do? How can I win? It is very simple. In this duel, what you are competing in is will. The method of wringing mana to its limit, you have experienced many times in my lessons. Is that not your personal hobby? I have no such hobby. If both sides fight until their mana is spent, the outcome no longer rests on strength but on will. Cast as splendidly and as grandly as you can. Whatever it takes, drag the fight into a war of attrition. And when that attrition ends, whoever can wring out even one more drop of mana is the victor. And if Azarin's total mana far exceeds mine, the answer is simple, then the one who loses will be you. But a person's total mana is largely a matter of birth. Carrying the blood of House Belmild, your gift in that respect is inferior to no one's. Beyond everything I have said, what you must do in this duel is this. Believe in yourself. Had Azarin watched the duel between Dilla and Reg that day, she would have recognized that look in Alent's eyes at once. Derek's students carry a burning fire in the chest and a cold, cutting frost in the eyes. That teacher taught his students not only a scorching hunger for victory, but a cold clarity in facing victory and defeat. Facing that near-obsessive tenacity for the first time, anyone would take a step back. But regrettably, the enemy before Alent was Azarin Eleanor Duprain. After losing herself for barely an instant, Azarin responded. In that moment, the same thought rose in both their hearts. The one who wins this duel will be me. Against Alent's volley of fire arrows, Azarin summoned a magic shield at once. This is Lady Alent's magic. Her mana reserves seem greater than before. But everyone knew that magic of this order was not enough to defeat Azarin. The firepower was tremendous, but it was nothing more than pouring out mana at random. Fighting that way, her mana would run dry very quickly. As smoke swallowed the whole platform, Azarin remained fixed on the ripples of mana around her. And exactly as she predicted, everything just now had been a screen. Without hesitation, Azarin loosed Ice Arrow. Now it was her turn to strike back. Locking onto Alent's position, she launched an Ice Lance without a moment's pause. But from the look of Alent, she seemed entirely unaware of the incoming spell. The running figure was in fact only an illusion Alent had cast. The moment she grasped it, a doubt rose in Azarin's mind. Producing an illusion that ran continuously would devour an enormous amount of mana, and if Alent had used it knowing that, there could be only one reason. At the thought, Azarin whipped around. Alent's true attack was ice magic, the very field Azarin excelled in. But in that moment, Derek's words rang in Alent's head. That will not work. Disrupt the field with fire magic, draw attention with an illusion, and finish with ice magic. That will not work. Even a genuinely capable opponent will show an opening. But your opponent is Azarin. She is not merely capable. But Alent had not followed his advice, because she wanted to win in her own way. And even against Azarin, she did not believe anyone could respond at such a distance. And it was exactly as she predicted. Azarin had no time whatsoever to raise a protective spell. So what Azarin chose was Shockwave, the one-star spell that requires no incantation. In her very first duel with Derek, Alent had meant to use that same spell to end the fight quickly, but there was no time. Azarin could not possibly aim the shockwave at Alent. Instead, she leapt as she released it, using the force to carry herself back a short distance. And it was that short distance that made an attack which could not possibly miss. Almost the instant she evaded it, Azarin steadied herself again. That first exchange had shaken Alent considerably, because she had never imagined a shockwave could be used that way. And Azarin was no less shaken. She had come within a hair of losing that duel. She remembered Derek's hint. Whoever your opponent may be, do not take her lightly. Only now did Asuran understand what he meant. Both Alent's handling of magic and her fluency with it had changed beyond recognition. More importantly, Derek's own strength lay in magic of confusion. That had plainly shaped Alent's strategy. Taking that into account, Asuran too had to change her usual manner of fighting. She did not like overpowering an opponent with firepower, but disliking it did not mean she could not do it. Asuran had no taste for grand, ostentatious spellwork, but she carried the blood of House Dupreen all the same. If she could not press her opponent stroke by stroke as with a sword, then all that remained was to bring down a rain of arrows. Good heavens, are those all ice lances? To summon that many without a single incantation. Exactly as Derek had predicted, the fight between them had become a war of mana attrition. But seeing ice lances on that scale, Derek confirmed the suspicion he had carried within him. Before that rain of lances, not a flicker of panic showed in Alent's eyes, and in her own field of ice magic, Asuran's confidence was extraordinary, but she never noticed Alent quietly crooking a finger behind her back. And just then, a single fire arrow appeared within the disk of the sun. You have improved greatly, but you certainly cannot block every one of my lances. Yet the instant every lance took form, Alent began to move. Derek always acted before an opponent could fix the direction of their mana, rendering their spell inert. That delicate handling of mana could not be copied from a single viewing. But wandering the dungeon at his side, Alent had witnessed it dozens, hundreds of times. Mana has direction. Read your opponent's intent and you can see the path a spell will take. The advice that boy tossed out so casually now revealed its full meaning in real combat. Before the ice lances could lock onto her, the hidden fire arrow destroyed every one of Asuran's lances with perfect precision. Bear in mind that casting always produces a ripple of mana. Yet Asuran had felt nothing at all. So there was only one truth. That fire arrow had been created during the very first exchange, and ever since, Alent had kept it hidden within the sun, waiting for the right moment. The arrow could not reach Asuran in the end, but its work of draining her mana was complete. Though controlling that arrow had cost Alent an enormous amount of mana as well. At that moment, Asuran faltered, because she could not begin to guess what Alent would produce next. What on earth is happening? The two of them are fighting on even terms. Excitement rose in Alent, because she had pressed Asuran back. At this point in the duel, Asuran had lost outright. In tactics and in control of magic alike, Asuran had lost to Alent. But just then, Asuran began to draw a deep breath. It was not that Asuran could not win. She merely needed to add one condition to this duel. And Derek, watching it, turned rarely serious. This duel was only now truly beginning. The girl of House Duprin standing across the platform made no impressive movement and showed no flicker of emotion at all. Merely by releasing the mana within her, she pressed an enormous weight down on Alent. Like an adult pinning down a child performing elaborate tricks by sheer strength of arm, the girl overwhelmed Alent through the raw volume of her mana alone. Seeing that terrifying reserve, a suspicion began to form in Alent's mind. Just as she prepared to gather mana and strike back, she found she could no longer sense the mana around her at all. Alent did not know that everything unfolding was part of Derek's design. It is a phenomenon called mana realignment. When a mage draws out power far beyond their own limit, mana across a wide area rearranges itself, and mages within that range may lose all sense of it, which meant Asuran had already surpassed her own limit. Alent had once dreamed of one way to defeat Asuran, to become a 2-star mage. But the problem was that she had failed to reach 2 stars, and Asuran had already become one. Before the 2-star spell Fireball, every tactic and technique Alent possessed would turn to smoke. Alent could not forget how at the end of every session, she had lain on the ground utterly spent. And every time, Derek had held out a water skin and let her rest. And every time she asked him the same question, will I win? It has only been a few weeks of training. Can I truly beat Asuran? Ever since she had bared her heart, his answer had never changed. You will win. Whatever happens, you will certainly win. What on earth is that? Is that the 2-star spell Fireball? The instant Asuran unleashed 2-star magic, Alent lost her composure entirely. Because in her whole plan of battle, she had never accounted for a 2-star opponent. She looked quickly toward Derek beyond the platform, hoping to catch even a scrap of help. But there was no expression on his face at all, as if every part of this had been foreseen. And the more he looked that way, the more hopeless she felt. Because the opponent she had prepared for all this time was a 1-star Asuran, not an Asuran wielding 2-star magic. It was his words, "You will win," that had carried her through that brutal stretch of time. But today she was forced to doubt them again. Before a gap in strength so overwhelming, what technique could possibly still matter? Someone like me was never destined to defeat Asuran. As the fireball came down, that thought ran through her mind. And just then, gasps broke out across the stands. Alant had borrowed Asuran's own technique to slip clear of the fireball's reach. And this time it was Azurin's turn to be astonished. Though it must be said that no small part of her escape was luck. For Asurin had only just reached 2 stars. Her command of 2-star magic was far from practiced. In precision and in control alike, it was a world away from her 1-star work. And from Azurin's bearing, it was plain that 2-star magic drained her enormously. So even against such an overwhelming gap, Alent could faintly sense an opening, and Alent's use of her own technique had shaken Azurin badly as well. In truth, the whole course of this duel had lain within Derek's calculations from the start. He had known from the beginning that Asurin was a single step from 2 stars. But to a mage who has only just crossed that threshold, 2-star magic is nothing but a bottomless pit that devours mana. And within Derek's calculations, even Asurin's straightforward nature had been accounted for. Once she acknowledged an opponent, the straightforward Asurin would give everything. She would lay down every card and settle it with a sincere heart. For to her, giving one's all in a contest was both respect for the opponent and a matter of etiquette. But because of that, the efficiency with which the two handled their mana already differed. Endure, and you win. There's no need to meet an opponent's honorable stance head-on. What harm in taking a little advantage of their integrity? Under the banner of respecting her opponent, Asurin was forcing 2-star magic she had not yet mastered. She would show an opening before long. And even if both ran dry and the contest became a test of spirit, the advantage would certainly still lie with Alent. The spirit of an Alent who had gritted her teeth and endured under Derek's lash was long past belonging to the same order as a hothouse flower. That magic tutor, who had not even held his coming-of-age ceremony, had foreseen even this. This is monstrous. Asurin has used Fireball again, and this time it is far faster than the last. Alent did not hesitate a moment. She began running circles around the platform, for she understood clearly that both casting and controlling 2-star magic drained Asurin enormously, and to win this duel, she need only give everything to evading Asurin's still unripe magic. But evasion alone was not the victory Alent wanted. As a daughter of House Belmild, she too wanted a victory won openly. So while slipping clear of a fireball, she once again used the sun to conceal her movements. In such conditions, even if Asurin sensed the ripple of mana, she could not respond in time. The noonday sun blazed on the girl's flame-red hair. The nightmare that had wrapped itself around her was about to be torn apart by her own hands. But she did not act recklessly either. What she wanted was a certain victory. If this ice lance did not win her the duel, forcing Asurin to raise a defensive spell would be enough. For the ending was already decided. The one to win this duel could only be her. And exactly as she predicted, Asurin's mana had not yet run dry. 1 second before the lance struck, Asurin raised a wall of ice and stopped it. It was not a defensive spell, but a raw burst of mana, which meant Asurin's reserves were nearly gone. There was still a long stretch left before the duel ended. Alent could easily hold the field. And Asurin had never endured training so brutal, nor ever forced herself to cast to this extent. In Derek's eyes, the duel had ended at that point. Alent had driven the very woman she had envied all these years into a corner. Her own mana was nearly spent as well, but it was enough for what remained. And just then the unexpected happened. With her mana all but gone, Asurin loosed one more fireball, and having spent it, she barely had the strength left to stand. Regrettably, the last fireball she had wrung from herself went wide. But the exhilaration of defeating her lifelong rival, which should have risen in Alent's chest, vanished entirely. If the attrition continued like this, the scales would tip to her without question. In truth, there had been a moment when Alent had already composed what she would say upon winning. "Lady Asurin, your magic is of a high order, but you lack the seasoned experience to allocate your mana properly." Then she would declare her victory aloud and withdraw with a smile. It was the victory she had dreamed of. But the instant those eyes locked onto her, Alent felt a dagger drive into her heart. I have lost. As the duel neared its close, Alent found herself remembering everything that lay between her and Asurin. It could be said with certainty that in Elbest there was no noble lady more distinguished than Asurin Duprine. But wherever there is light, there must also be shadow. And there was a noble lady who had lived her whole life in Asuran's shadow. She is only a noble lady raised in comfort herself, is she not? If someone whispered such things behind her back, how much better was she herself? Turn around, I want to see just how humiliated she can look. But when Asuran turned, Alant was struck dumb. Asuran was like a gemstone. The more it is cut and polished, the more brilliantly it shines. And Alant was swallowed whole by that light. In that moment, the seed named inferiority took root in her heart and grew, and she fell into a bottomless abyss of it. Yet even at the bottom of that abyss, Alant quietly gathered her strength. One day she would become a better person than Asuran.
She wanted to prove herself that way.
She had always believed that one day she would climb out of that endless, empty abyss. The noble, beautiful Asuran now stood with her hair in disarray, covered in dust, utterly wretched. Rolling in the dirt before all those eyes, enduring every humiliation. And yet why? Why could she still wear an expression like that? It turned out that for her, there existed no dignity or pride worth clinging to at the cost of her life. She had only ever given everything to do well the thing that had to be done at that moment. The whole stand was cheering for Asuran, as if Alant were the villain of the story. Alant gathered her mana once more. One last spell and victory was hers. But she looked toward Derek. She hesitated. She had asked him countless times, "Will I win?" Now she knew the answer. No. Alant finally understood it all. She had believed she had grasped every one of Derek's intentions, but that belief itself was a form of arrogance. She had all along been fighting a fight she could not win. Even if she defeated Asuran at this moment, she would not escape the abyss called inferiority. I have lost. My mana is completely spent. Alant slowly opened both hands and accepted her defeat squarely. And Asuran, her opponent, was filled with disbelief. With my strength, I still cannot defeat Lady Asuran after all. I have lost. This was a magnificent contest. The instant she finished, the crowd erupted. Amid the roar of cheers, Alant slowly closed her eyes and opened them and offered a noble smile. But Asuran knew perfectly well. Alant had absolutely possessed the ability to defeat her. When the duel ended, everyone crowded around Asuran to discuss two-star magic. And through that surging crowd, the figure of Alant smoothing her skirts at the edge of the platform caught her eye. Asuran meant to call out to her, but Alant had already stepped down first. By then, Derek was waiting for her in an empty corner. You saw the duel just now, yes. Startled, were you? I am also the sort who concedes when she must concede. But you should have seen Asuran's face at that moment. I was too far away to see clearly. What sort of face was it? How shall I put it? Her eyes went perfectly round, as if asking why I would concede at a time like that. I never imagined the ever-composed Lady Asuran could make such a face. Thanks to you, I got to see something so entertaining, to feel superior to Asuran for once. Today has been the finest day. How did I do? The ending leaves something to be desired, but overall it was not bad, was it? At a time like this, do not go hunting for faults, understood? She said it with her mouth, but the tears would not stop falling. Derek did not react at all. He simply looked quietly at the grass and flowers beside them. Only when the tears struck the back of her hand did she come to herself. I am not a child anymore, so why am I like this? Only then did Derek speak. You performed beyond reproach. You have worked hard. He did not make a point of looking at the weeping girl. He only stood there in silence. In truth, I still wanted to win. But when it was nearly over, I suddenly saw something. Even if I had won there, nothing about me would change. In the end, I would still have to return to that same filthy mire. So I was born a wretched thing after all. And Asuran, even reduced to that state, still looked pure and unblemished. When it comes to inferiority, I far surpass Asuran. How much better am I? Derek did not contradict her. What harm is there in looking a little wretched? Is that not how everyone lives? He offered no words of comfort. Derek simply stood there beside her. Without the courage to let yourself be wretched, one can never truly transform, right or wrong. What does passing such judgment change? In truth, people do not need the advice of others as much as they think. At the very least, today Alant had not gone under. And not far off, Denise had been watching Derek in silence. She had always regarded society as a burden. But now she had to do something. When she reached Asuran's side, the other ladies had just finished their farewells. Lady Asuran. Once again, you have made an astonishing transformation. Watching that contest, I trembled with admiration every second of it. Before Denise, Asuran had no intention of hiding it. Do you know, Lady Denise, in truth that duel was mine to lose. Azarin understood not only Denise's sharp eye, but also the lack of drive within her. So now and then she skipped the courtesies and went straight to the point. But in magical craft, the fact that you remain a step above has not changed. At least that is my view. Yet beyond magical craft, in that duel Azarin had been all but crushed by Aelant. To make such enormous progress in so short a time, the figure of the white-haired mercenary boy rose unbidden in Azarin's mind. Sensing something like certainty in her eyes, Denise could only draw a cold breath inwardly. When Denise had gone, Azarin summoned her attendant at once. Daisy, I need to prepare a letter to the main house. I need Master Derek. Some time before, a piece of news had reached Duke Duprain. Dreist Wolftail. What business brings that 6-star old man to Elbest? The reason is unclear. But the schedule of this tariff accord being pushed forward suggests they too have caught wind of Lord Dreist's movements. I did wonder why Belmild insisted on coming to Elbest. It seems this is indeed connected to Dreist. If it is the man who stands at the summit of the divination arts, with the power to foresee the future, then he has a reason for it. One more matter. Azarin has sent a letter. In it, she asks to engage a magic tutor. If it helps her, is that not a matter of course? But in the letter, she names Derek specifically. The trouble is that Derek is currently teaching Lady Aelant of House Belmild, so I intend to send the steward to discuss the matter with him in detail. Valerian, this will not be so simple. Since Dreist's destination is also Elbest, I will handle the matter of Derek myself. At the same hour, at Aelant's estate, Derek. I would like to rest a while. At that, he slowly raised his head. Whether studies or anything else, I want to set it aside for a time and put my thoughts in order. You still work with the Belderon Mercenary Company? Yes. Just then, he felt her nudge him lightly with the tip of her shoe. Seeing her lean steadily forward, Derek straightened up. If I call for you again, will you come to teach me magic? At those words, the tension in him finally eased. Of course I will come, though I do not know what else I could teach you. Modesty like that is a little excessive. Come to think of it, winter is nearly over. It has been a long winter. Do you not think so? Time passed. By the time Derek returned, it was already night. He opened the door to find Perrin gambling away this job's pay again. Derek is back. At that, the captain perked up as well. I am back. Thank you all for your work on this commission. Time passed. Count Belmild had arrived in Elbest. Barring surprises, he was the first of the great houses to set foot there. And Aelant had no idea at all that her father had come. Hearing the knock at the door, she even pressed a pillow over her ears. My lady, I think it would be better if you opened the door. I clearly said I would rest for a few days. Why is he here this early again? Have you forgotten? I said I would rest starting today. It has been so long. My treasure, my precious daughter Aelant. And the very next second, Aelant slammed the door shut. She could not believe her own father was standing outside. Father, why are you here? I will change and come right out. Please wait a moment. My tray. Before Count Belmild could finish, the door shut again. I see. Lady Azarin of House Duprain, she truly is a formidable opponent. But I learned a great deal too. If that mercenary teaches so well, then it would be better to keep him at Belmild as our exclusive tutor. Hearing her father say it, Aelant was taken aback. But the retainers will object. You need not worry about that. For you, what is there I cannot do? Do as you please, leave the rest to your father. At that same time, while Aelant rested, Derek returned to the dungeon. For he had realized that his own magic had stood still throughout his time teaching. Derek! Only at Perrin's call did he pull his thoughts back. But just as he prepared to cast, the unexpected happened. The magic that had been immovable for so long suddenly seemed to give. Without hesitation, he followed the sensation and cast. The 3-star spell Flame Wall, which he had practiced countless times, finally took full shape. The problem was that the distance was far too close. Derek. Watching it happen, Perrin could not believe her eyes. What did you say? Derek nearly died in a low-tier dungeon like that. Do not remind me. Are all mages like this? We were only fighting goblins, and he still reached for 3-star magic. Partway through, I felt a strange wrongness, exactly as when I first reached 2 stars. Just then, a voice rang out. There is no need to fret over failing to break that barrier. There is no need to force it open. Never forget. What the wild school pursues is to follow nature. As the man spoke, he walked slowly into the tavern. Then again, a mage like you would never take such advice. Derek could sense no mana whatsoever on the man, which left only one possibility. the strongest 6-star mage of the divination arts. If you have good wine, bring it out. The road has left me somewhat tired. The old man was Dreist, one of the 4 6-star mages. At the same hour, at the estate of House Duprain. Since Derek left, Dilla had trained at her magic without pause. For only that way could she reach Elbest quickly and see her teacher again. She could now cast 1-star magic exactly as she pleased. But to reach Elbest, 1-star magic alone was nowhere near enough. Dilla drew on every drop of mana in her body and summoned 3 more ice arrows. But she had been a 1-star mage for only a short while, and could not yet control so many spells at once. As always, the arrows shattered before they could fully form. When the spell failed, Dilla dropped to her knees on the ground. Why is it still not working? I thought you had grown up. Turns out your temper is exactly the same. Since when have you been watching? But you did make 5 of them. Truly, we have that fine tutor to thank. It is clearly because I am talented. What credit does that self-indulgent Derek have? I hear Aetherin wants to hire that self-indulgent man as her tutor. Absolutely not. What if he puts her through what he put me through? Stop saying things that make people misunderstand Derek. At the ball the other day, I heard people say Lady Alent also wants to keep employing Derek. The girl could not help her irritation. Why is that man so sought after? He taught a little terror like you to carry herself like a proper lady. Small wonder he is in demand. Who are you calling a terror? It would be good if Derek continued teaching Azerin. Why do you say that? Then you might find a way to see Derek again. The very man you are dying to see. Who would want to see that insufferable creature? Fine. I will take you at your word for now. But the rumors about Derek must be flying everywhere by now. I only hope no more rivals crawl out of the woodwork. Sometime before, Dreist, one of the world's 6-star mages, had come to the Tears of Belderon. Derek did not understand why a being of that rank would come to so small a place. Draining his cup, Dreist turned to look at him. You are Derek. You are correct. But Derek was puzzled. Why would Dreist know him? If you do not mind, might we speak alone for a while? Derek still could not fathom why the man at the summit of the world's magic would seek him out for conversation. But there was no denying that speaking with such a man would yield a great deal. Your talent for magic is somewhat ambiguous. You have certainly never heard that before. Because your ability is already excellent enough. Derek did not deny it. Even among the nobility, his gift was of a kind seen once in a century. Why do you drive yourself so hard? What do you mean to do once you have mastered magic? I have no grand goal. It is only that when I learned I had this gift, I became curious how far I could go, to what point I could reach. But from Dreist's expression, it was clear. He seemed to know the goal Derek kept buried in his heart. As a commoner, if you dream of a level higher than where you stand, then your present ability falls far short. May I help you? That last sentence left Derek unsettled. Outwardly, he did not change at all. But the man before him was Dreist, a 6-star mage born a commoner. Dreist had reached 2 stars by the time he came of age, and touched 3 by the time he had a family. He became the spiritual pillar of every commoner mage, and his village became their sanctuary. But in the year Dreist turned 40, one catastrophe overturned his life. The rainy night he came home, what awaited him was not his beautiful wife and lovely daughter, but blood across the floor and 3 bodies gone cold. To rein in the spiritual leader of the commoner mages, those in power had ordered his family killed. Is Dreist not a little too strong? Rest easy, my lord. Dreist has gone into hiding. And those insolent commoner mages have all fallen quiet. Filthy things that tuck their tails and beg the moment they are threatened. Commoners by birth. Why should they dare covet magic? And should Dreist show his face again, then we will. But before Count Zebulon could finish, the sight before him froze him where he stood. The servant behind him had already had his head sheared off by Dreist's magic. Dreist, you arrogant creature. Zebulon moved to strike and lost a leg to Dreist's blade. By the time the pain registered, Dreist had taken the other one as well. In that instant, the cruelty in Zebulon's eyes was swallowed whole by terror. Not a shred of noble dignity remained on him. Zebulon sprawled on the floor like a stray dog and begged Dreist for mercy. Only when Dreist cut out his tongue did the Count's estate fall silent at last. From that day, Dreist became the shared enemy of the entire noble class. He spent 30 full years in flight, evading the hunters sent by the crown and the nobility. And when Dreist broke past 5 stars and became a 6-star mage, the crown finally came to its senses. To make an enemy of Dreist would put the whole kingdom in danger. The crown declared his vengeance justified and granted him a title in order to preserve its own authority. And so Dryst became a man who had won a noble title through magical ability alone. Of that peerless mage who was also born a commoner, Derek knew every part of the widely told past. To study magic under such a man would be an opportunity beyond price. But the problem was that Dryst had no reason to offer it. The council of the three great noble houses had at last begun. If Duke Duprane intends to expand north of the Belkos Peninsula, he must beware the dungeons of the White Zone. If you require it, I can dispatch my knight order. The speaker was Denise's father, Duke Beltis. This knight order Duke Beltis speaks of, it would not be that pack of useless mercenaries. Beltis's military strength was in itself a match for any high noble, but half of it consisted of mercenary companies led by former soldiers. So the remark plainly displeased him. Governing a domain as vast as yours with a private army must be a great strain. Relinquishing some of it would be one solution. As the only one of the three carrying direct royal blood, Duke Duprane was not about to tolerate such provocation. Seeing it, Count Belmild hurried to mediate. Everything that needed discussing has been discussed. It is not often we come to Elbest. We ought to go and see our daughters. Speaking of which, I hear your daughter Allant fought Azarin to a standstill. A pity she lost in the end. But it seems Alent's talent has finally begun to bloom. With a little more study under a fine tutor, she will surely surpass Lady Azarin. This fine tutor you speak of, that would be Derek. Then if he becomes Azarin's tutor, Allant may as well stop dreaming of surpassing her. At Duke Duprane's words, even the mild-tempered Count Belmild could no longer hold back. Do you truly believe that would happen? His bond with Alent runs far too deep. You think he acts on personal bonds. It seems you do not understand him in the least. Duke Beltis could not help his curiosity. Who was this tutor named Derek that he could set these two at each other's throats? Duke Beltis was an opportunist. He realized he would have to get the details from Denise. The moment the council ended, Count Belmild went straight to the Tears of Belderon. Seeing clearly who had come, Captain Jaden was momentarily stunned. You are the captain of the Belderon Mercenary Company. Count Belmild spoke first. The letters my steward sent went unanswered, so I came myself. My deepest apologies, my lord. In truth, Derek vanished several days ago. We too have been asking after him everywhere. A few days ago, he said he would refuse all commissions and then disappeared without a trace. Count Belmild could not help wondering, had Duke Duprane moved first, or that man Beltis? The trouble was he had received no word of anything of the sort. At that same hour, at the villa where Lady Denise was staying. Denise sat gnawing an apple and reading the letter in her hand. When did this letter arrive? Early this morning, my lady. They said the head of the house sent it most urgently. The contents were simple. Find a man called Derek at once and bring him back as your tutor. Duke Beltis was in such haste because Derek's price would only climb from here. How tiresome. Why did it have to be today? Today is such an important day. I have been looking forward to it for so long. Today, the great author, Layli, releases her new work. The young lady submits to the Duke's cold, great sword of ice. What on earth is the true nature of that sword of ice? I am dying to know. But what can I do? If I disobey now, it will only become more troublesome later. Bella, you called, my lady. Prepare my outdoor clothes. I have someone to find. Some time before, Dryst had brought Derek to a deserted cave. Close your eyes and release your mana ever so slightly. Feel the sensation of it striking an object and returning. Derek closed his eyes for the moment and released his mana as the old man instructed. His mana struck every corner of the dark cave and dispersed, exactly as a bat sends out sound to map a cave in the dark. What you are doing now is the foundation of divination magic. 1 star is nothing more than sensing threat. From 3 stars you can trace positions and sense spells. 3 stars sees through disguise. 4 stars sees through an opponent's nature. 5 stars reads the human heart and can speak with the dead, and 6 stars sees the future. Lord Dryst, your seeking me out like this must have a reason. That is right. It is precisely because I foresaw the future that I came for you. Because I need you. May I ask, Lord Dryst, what exactly is going to happen to me? You know a man called Valerian, the eldest son of House Duprane. Before you come of age, he will begin to touch necromantic magic. If that happens, you must kill him. Why would he step into necromancy, and where will you be at that time? My apologies, this is all I can tell you. That is the nature of the future. If everything is known too easily, the future becomes only harder to predict and vastly more tangled. If I may tell you one more thing, it is this. You will die before you come of age. Looking at Derek, Dreist was puzzled. Are you not surprised? You said death is fate, but you did not say I would certainly die. You are right, and I have no wish for you to die. You cannot die yet, so I will keep you alive, but to live, you must grow stronger. With that, the old man loosed a spell casually at the sky. Since you have the potential to master 3-star magic in both the combat and confusion arts, you must begin now. If you can master all 3 arts, none of your generation will match you. If you do not wish to die, you must possess overwhelming power. I will make you stronger, and when the time comes, you must kill Valerian. At that same hour in the common quarter of Elbest, a carriage plainly belonging to the nobility came to a stop there, and the one within was Denise of House Beltis. The instant she stepped down, the commoners stared, transfixed. I will walk from here. Rest yourself. Yes, my lady. Denise had brought no guards on this trip, only Bella, the maid who had served her since childhood. Bella, why do you suppose everyone is staring at me? As to that, my lady, I'm not entirely sure. Could it be because I am beautiful? At that, Bella plainly did not know what to say. Your room is always in disarray. You dislike bathing, you spend all day buried in books, and ordinarily you look thoroughly unkempt. But I think it is at times like those that you have even less charm. Bella, you do love your jokes. I am not joking with you, my lady. Should we not hurry, my lady? If another house takes this derrick first, do not worry. Slow as I am still far faster than the rest. But you are always late for your lessons. That mercenary is said to have refused every commission and vanished, correct? Are you listening to me at all? Derrick is not a man who covets money. For him to vanish so suddenly, something more important than money must have appeared. And for someone who commands magic at that level so young, anything more important than money could only concern magic. Either he obtained an excellent spell book, in which case he would have no time for mercenary work and would naturally refuse commissions. But that mercenary left House Dupreen of his own accord. If it were purely for training, there is hardly a better place than House Dupreen, which means he found something better than House Dupreen. Recalling that Dreist had recently appeared in Elbest, Denise had her answer. Bella's voice cut through her thoughts. Lady Denise, we have arrived. Their destination was the Tears of Belderon. Welcome, Captain Jaden greeted her by reflex. But the moment he saw who had come, the smile left his face. I never expected the lady herself would have to come, but we do not know where Derrick is either. 3 parties have already been here this morning alone. All we can say is, Dreist Wolftail, that old gentleman came here, did he not? The instant she said it, Captain Jaden's movement stalled for a beat. I understand. Thank you for your answer. Let us go, Bella. We must check the carriage transit records. Without hesitation, the two set off for the Coachmen's Guild of Elbest. My lady, how did you know Lord Dreist had come here? Is it not obvious? That mercenary left the estate of a 5-star mage of his own accord. So obsessed with magic, yet he would not even take a 5-star mage's resources, which means only something on par with a 6-star mage could interest him. And as it happens, I knew a 6-star mage was coming to Elbest. I only tried my luck and probed a little, and that old fellow took the bait. It went rather smoothly. Could all of this be because I am simply too beautiful? At that, Bella wiped the smile from her face at once. You rarely employ such methods, my lady. Bella, your tongue is sharp today. I am merely stating a fact objectively. However I look at it, I am simply too capable. Being too capable only invites endless trouble. How I wish I were useless. You are not enjoying my dismantling every sentence you speak, are you? Bella, you only see my virtues, do you not? You have not taken in a single word I said. But even if we find him first, will he serve us? Are both House Dupreen and House Belmild not looking for him? Bella, really. That part is the easiest of all, so you already have a plan. A honey trap, of course. You know how it is, Bella. I need only lure him with this bewitching beauty of mine, and he will take the bait obediently. Everyone knows it. I am a woman brimming with charm. But you do know that Lady Asserin and Lady Allant are our rivals. Bella, how could you? I am clearly more beautiful than either of them. That is the only topic that reaches your ears. My lady, I believe I have found it. It was a week ago. A youth in a long robe and an old man. Their destination was the great cave of Raspa on the outer edge of the Ramhell Hills. Turning to Derrick. He had been training under Dreist for some time. Just then, Dreist seemed to sense something. Someone is coming. They look like people of House Beltis. They must be your guests. Go and see. Lady Denise, I think it best we go no deeper. We should report to the head of the house and return with soldiers. Absolutely not. Then what credit would be left to me? Besides, what if moving soldiers lets another house catch the scent? Would we not simply be sewing a wedding dress for someone else? Just then, Bella behind her let out a shriek. For not far ahead, a pair of crimson eyes had appeared. Do not be afraid. Bella, get behind me. This area had already been cleared. By rights, there should be no monsters at all. And Denise was not skilled in offensive magic, but now she had no way back. Forcing down her fear, she silently began an incantation. But a moment later, the owner of those eyes stepped into view. Seeing a human being emerge, Denise could not help her surprise. What brings you to a place this dark, Lady Denise? The instant she heard it, Denise knew this was the man she sought. Her expression changed on the spot. She was already wondering whether to attempt the honey trap right here. Denise had traced Derek's whereabouts by reasoning alone. Good day. You must be Master Derek. Yes, I am Derek. At that, a barely perceptible smile touched the corner of her mouth. What good fortune. I wished so much to meet you that I came to find you unannounced. I hope you might spare me a little time to speak. Derek plainly had no interest in humoring her, but in the end he spoke. Certainly. That was a most pleasant conversation. At that, Denise stood frozen on the spot. Thanks to years of upbringing, she managed to swallow the anger rising in her. I have lost count of how many times I have seen you in my dreams, Master Derek. Whether as a mage or as a teacher, you are extraordinary. How shall I put it? If only I could take you as my teacher. Why are you speaking in that tone, as though performing in a play? Are you rehearsing lines? Or is the echo in this cave simply too strong? At that, Bella lost her composure entirely, and Denise understood at once that the bashful maiden act had no effect on him whatsoever. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave. In truth, Watching the duel between Lady Azarin and Lady Elent moved me deeply. As one of the Rosia Three, I feel I am the one holding everyone back. Everyone is moving forward and only I stand still. I have been so uneasy, afraid I will be cast aside in the end. I beg you, save me. This time, Denise played the maiden with nowhere left to turn, and at this distance she could feel his very breath. Surely his heart was racing now. But the very next second he threw her hand aside. In that instant, Denise was left utterly blank. But as I see it, Lady Denise, you seem to have no interest in magic at all. A moment ago you mistook me for a monster and began the incantation for Ice Lance, did you not? But your execution was thoroughly unpracticed. Neither the flow of your mana nor the speed of your chant was up to standard. Your base reserves of mana are outstanding, but they have never been ordered or refined, which means you have scarcely practiced magic at all. At that assessment, Bella hurriedly raised a thumb. Lady Denise, let me offer you one piece of advice. Before someone who genuinely loves magic, do not use lies to express your sincerity. There are people who take such behavior as an insult. With things said that plainly, Denise knew that pressing further would only backfire. I do not know why you need me so badly, but it plainly is not for magic. I do not accept commissions of unclear purpose. Please wait. Do not seek out a talentless mercenary like me. Find someone more capable. That would befit your station. Leaving those words behind, Derek walked deeper into the cave. Without question, this counted as the first failure of Denise's life. That man called Derek, I have worked out his true nature. He must certainly be absolutely not, my lady. He is simply an honest, ordinary man. But by any reasonable measure, someone as beautiful as I am, wearing the finest cosmetics and the most expensive perfume, and still he refused me, which proves he does not like women. My lady, please calm down and write to the main house. Calm down? What have I to calm down about? Do you imagine I am angry? How could I possibly be angry over such rubbish? But you plainly are, my lady. Having grumbled her fill, Denise drew a deep breath. How could someone like me be angry over so trivial a thing? Some time later, the two of them built a fire outside the cave. My lady, is this truly all right? If I retreat now, another house will take him. We must win him over as soon as we can. Even a single day earlier matters. Do not push yourself too hard. I will withdraw for the night. I am sorry, Bella. I know I am always willful. You suffer for following me, but this request truly matters. I need you to help me. When you come tomorrow, bring me volume 4 of the Duke's Pillar of Fire Melts the Commoner Lady. At that, Bella's face twisted into open disgust. Early the next morning, Denise went to Derek again. This time, she had not only changed her clothes, but brought a whole armful of things. Besides food, the crate held a good deal that would aid magical training. What is this? It is nothing much. There is little I can do, but I will support you so you can focus entirely on your training. Doing this will change nothing. It is fine. Just watching makes me feel I'm improving. Please do not mind me. Denise believed that so long as Derek was human, he would surely warm to someone willing to give so much for him. Then I shall accept with thanks. Seeing him take it, Denise felt her plan was on the brink of success. But I will not be your tutor, Lady Denise. She had never imagined he would refuse her while eating her own food. Master Derek, I brought food and mana stones today as well, thank you. But I still will not be your tutor. Good morning. Our head chef says he will prepare a magnificent spread for you. Thank you, but I will not be coming. Master Derek, this is refined ore. I thought it might help you. I will take it, but I still will not agree to your request. Several days of this, and Denise felt she had been thoroughly played. Selfish, stingy wretch. I have gone out of my way this far. Surely you owe me some response. My lady, we have trouble. Is there anything more troublesome than this? It is the head steward of House Dupreen. They are heading this way. Hide first. They may take all this for Derek's own belongings. Not long after, the head steward of House Dupreen arrived with a full retinue. What on earth is that? Are they going to war? In the end, what House Dupreen handed Derek was only a single slip of paper. To be Lady Assarin's magic tutor. What an honor that would be. Denise was eavesdropping from behind a boulder, and when she heard Assarin's name, she could bear it no longer. Sometime before, the people of House Dupreen had found Derek. It would be my honor to be Lady Assarin's magic tutor. In that case, let us prepare and set out at once. But to the surprise of both, Derek refused. Even Denise was astonished at the sight. After my training is complete, though I do not know when that will be. If we were to raise the sum suitably, might that change matters? But Derek refused again. I am truly sorry. At my present level, I could not be of much help to Lady Assarin, and I have no wish to teach anyone carelessly. At that, Denise knew her hopes were finished. Elsewhere, at the estate of House Dupreen. Is it true? You say they have found Derek? Yes, the steward paid him a visit last night. Why was I not told? I wanted to go myself. Though it may not be too late even now, gather me soldiers who can move quickly. But my lady, that place is dangerous. This is a matter of engaging a teacher. Naturally, the student must go in person. Back with Derek. By now, Denise had not a trace of noble bearing left. Grimy all over, and a crystal string dangling from her nose. But she had no mind left for such things and merely sniffed carelessly. Bella, tomorrow morning we go home. Understood, my lady. You do give up quickly. It is because you are clever. Hearing Bella praise her, Denise felt only worse. Bella, you really think I am a fool, do you not? How could that be? How could I ever think you a fool? Before, if I simply dug in my heels, I could accomplish anything. But this time, I do not even want to reach for that stubbornness. What is happening to me? It feels as if every ounce of strength has been drained out. I do not think that mercenary is the sort who looks at a person's background or is driven by money. That man seems to care far more about whether a person is worth teaching. At that, Denise sank into thought again. She recalled the words he had spoken when refusing House Dupreen. And the other two flowers of the Rosea Salon. Not one of them lacked a genuine passion for magic. They not only loved magic from the heart, but truly wished to be taught by him. Why? Why is everyone so sincere? Elsewhere, Derek was training in the manner Dreist had taught him. But just then, someone interrupted him. Forgive me. I have interrupted your training. The one who had come was Denise. If you do not mind, may I sit beside you? You seem different today, because I am no longer straining. Your eyes have changed. At that, Denise did not argue. I am truly sorry. I have troubled you all this time. I intend to stop here. Thank you for these past days. I hope you find a good teacher. Teacher or not, the truth is I hate magic. At that, Derek turned unexpectedly serious. It was all politics. Because you had become famous, I wanted to pull you to our side. Nothing more, and you are far too arrogant. In the end, you will go to Assarin anyway. I will withdraw. Why do you hate magic? That is it. I used to rather like it. No, like is not the word either. I only liked being praised. Magic was merely the means. What I truly wanted from beginning to end was praise. Back then, hearing people call me a genius, I threw myself into studying. Until one day, a question surfaced in my mind. What am I actually doing? Why am I doing this? From that day, I stopped studying magic. That is all. It seems even praise grows tiresome when you hear enough of it. You were actually listening. I thought I was only talking to myself. Take care on the road back. Derek did not follow her thread any further. Denise was clever by nature. She knew that was a dismissal. Thinking about it, perhaps I once envied you. Someone like you, who never wavers about what he is doing and simply works, will surely become a great mage. Will you not? Faced with praise that came straight from the heart, Derek showed nothing at all. In that case, greet me if we ever meet somewhere in the future. Early the next morning, Azarin arrived with soldiers of House Duprain. Denise merely watched from a hillside not far off and did nothing. In her heart, she knew. It ended here. What was never hers was never worth coveting. Time passed. At Denise's estate. Azarin was refused as well, indeed, a truly unfathomable man. Denise could not help wondering. Was it because his training was unfinished? But being refused and having unfinished training were plainly two different things. It is time you let this go, my lady. Indeed. It seems he means to hide in that cave for the rest of his life. But Denise still felt out of sorts. Does Derek imagine he is the only one in the world who can use magic? Ah, yes, a guest has come today. He says he wishes to dine with you. A guest. Opening the door, Denise greeted her father as custom demanded. But the next second, her attention was seized by a familiar figure. And that figure was Derek, the very man who had refused her again and again. He was dining with Duke Beltis. In that instant, Denise was truly struck dumb. The story begins the night before. Derek was training in the cave. He could feel clearly that he was one step from completion. He arranged the flow of mana over and over. Just a little more. He need only compress every current of it into a single point. Those few short seconds felt to him like torture. He did not know how long it lasted, but at last he caught that faint, formless sensation. As if drawn by something, Derek pressed his palm to the cold stone floor and released that mana entirely as he wished. Though he had resolved to manifest it with everything he had, nothing around him changed at all. And the instant a hollow feeling rose in him, an enormous tremor began to spread through the cave. But Derek no longer had the strength to escape the collapsing cave. At this rate, the whole cave may come down. To finally master 3-star magic and die like this would be a terrible waste. It is about time. We should leave this place. Having mastered the 3-star spell Lay Convulsion, Derek had become a 3-star mage. Dryce did not lead him far. He built a fire not far from the cave. As I said before, there is nothing left for me to teach you now. I told you last time as well, a commoner cannot survive on half-formed talent. Think it through for yourself, how far you can go from here. Seeing Dryce rise, Derek spoke quickly. Where are you going? Only to walk about and breathe some fresh air. As he was leaving, Dryce stopped suddenly. Derek, you must be careful of Cora. Leaving that one groundless sentence behind, Dryce vanished into the trees. In truth, Derek knew perfectly well, Dryce would not return. He could not help wondering why he must beware the 6-star mage called Cora. Back to the present. Derek had come uninvited to Duke Beltis's estate. Denise, your father is overjoyed. Thanks to you stepping forward yourself, that precious tutor has come to our door of his own accord. Thank you, father. I only did what was within my duty. Speaking of which, you must have had reason to refuse House Duprain. Whatever lies within my power, I will arrange for you. Beyond the fee already agreed, I require no additional favors. The reason I accepted is Lady Denise's conduct. Truly, our Denise is of outstanding character. Among all the noble daughters of the continent, only our Denise could manage such a thing. Any master in this world who met our Denise would want her as a disciple. Denise. Do you remember that time? When the maid broke the dinner plate. She wept and said she had committed a mortal offense and begged forgiveness, and our Denise gave her an angel's smile. More than that plate, what concerned me was father. Next, I wish to discuss my lessons, the teacher and I alone. And so, at Denise's request, Duke Beltis withdrew. What are you doing here, drinking tea? Are you joking with me? That is not what I am asking. Did you not state clearly that you would not be my teacher? At the cave of Raspa, I thank you on every count. The supplies you provided were a great help. I told you already, I approached you for political reasons. I have no intention whatsoever of learning magic. I will tell you honestly, hearing that left me deeply unsettled. Without ever properly understanding what magic is, you passed judgment on it. That attitude of yours. At that, Denise showed not the slightest remorse. Naturally, in your place, I would be displeased too, but unwilling is unwilling. I see. Then that is a great pity. To know not the smallest of the virtues of something as beautiful and brilliant as magic, and yet to regard it with disappointment and distaste. That state of mind of yours I cannot accept by any measure. Seeing him so grave, Denise was somewhat startled. This Derek is nothing short of a fanatic. I should never have provoked this. At the same hour, at Asuran's estate, Asuran sat alone in a chair, staring blankly out of the window. She could not understand why Derek would not become her teacher. The day Denise left, Asuran had gone to him with the people of House Duprain. But he had told her he had nothing to teach her. Your way of thinking has taken root long ago, so I believe you would do better under a tutor of the academy school. I am truly sorry, Lady Asuran, I cannot be your teacher. At the time, Asuran said nothing. She only lowered her head in silence. Derek had spoken in a way that left no room at all, and those were by no means kind words. Asuran had once believed that orthodoxy was everything, but what she had always yearned for was in fact the free magic Dilla possessed. And just then a maid knocked at the door. A letter has come from the main house. What letter? Next week there is a departure ceremony held for young Master Valerian. Next week already. It is his first departure ceremony, so I must prepare a gift worthy of it. I will go to the commercial street. The White Zone is a dangerous place, so we must prepare thoroughly in advance. The moment Asuran rose, the perfectly sound chair beneath her lost a leg and collapsed. Time passed. At Denise's estate. He has truly lost his mind. He understands nothing at all about what makes magic good, and yet his eyes blaze when he looks at it. And loving it himself is not enough. He must force it upon others as well. If he knew you thought so, perhaps he would stop letting you read those vulgar novels. You understand nothing of the virtues of those beautiful, brilliant works. I cannot accept it. Truly, like teacher, like student. Bella, I find the novels you read tedious. That is not what I meant to discuss. A man who settled the trouble with House Duprain, won immense recognition, and even cast Asuran aside as my teacher. Do you know how badly this will go? Rest early, my lady. Listen to me first. Under a teacher like that, if I still make no progress, how useless does that make me? Can I not simply go at my own pace and get through it? All I want is to lie down and read novels. But if you fob Master Derek off, will your allowance for buying novels not be cut? At the thought, Denise thrashed about under her blanket in frustration. Already without a shred of motivation, Denise suddenly found all of it far too much trouble. The reason Derek chose Denise goes back to the night Dryce departed. My advice is that you keep on good terms with all three great houses. But remember this. There is no need to swear loyalty to any one of them. Rather, maneuver between the three, keep them dangling, and make them anxious. Only in that way will you have any chance of preserving yourself. Time passed. Today was Denise's first day of lessons, but her habit of many years was to sleep until noon. Yet that morning she heard a sound of exceptional harshness. In that instant, Denise, deep in sleep, was jolted fully awake. Seeing Derek banging away with a frying pan, she assumed he had gone completely mad. But he told her he had not gone mad at all. It was only because she kept sleeping that he had been forced to it. Bear in mind that she was still in her nightclothes, and that man had walked openly into her bedroom. And then he told her she had 5 minutes to change and come out. Having said it, he turned and left her bedroom. In that instant, Denise was somewhat stunned. Does this man have no concept whatsoever of men and women? Once changed, and outside, she was angrier still, because today was the weekend, a day of rest. He told her as well that on weekends it was best not to push oneself too hard. Then why stage all this at dawn? Not pushing yourself and abandoning basic propriety are entirely different things. You are, after all, one of the celebrated three of the Rosea Salon. Even on a weekend, you ought to retain some minimum breeding. That obvious truth is a rule you set alone. As the one who employs you, I do not agree. As the one employed, should you not act within the rules I set? But what Denise had not expected was that he produced a contract. Read it carefully. This is a contract signed by Duke Beltus. My employer is Duke Beltus. His Grace has entrusted to me full authority over everything required to achieve his objectives concerning magic. Seeing the clauses on that contract and her own father's name at the bottom, Denise fell entirely silent. Next, allow me to present today's schedule. After a simple breakfast, we first examine your level in divination magic, then relearn combat elemental magic from the beginning. The afternoon begins with physical conditioning, followed by study of mana application. But you just said it yourself. Since it is the weekend, you would not push me. You are correct, but keeping to one's duty is by its very nature hard work. Only then did Denise truly realize that Derek was a madman through and through. And so she was dragged into demonic training alongside him. Taken individually, no single item was especially hard. The problem was that there were so many of them. Her magic had lain neglected too long. She could not keep pace with him at all. That first day of training alone left Denise feeling she had died a little. Bella, I truly cannot go on. Why does that mercenary wretch not go to hell? If responsibility is not clearly assigned, you may be the one who ends up in hell, my lady. Bella, what is wrong with you? Since meeting that man, you have changed completely. You are cold-blooded and heartless exactly like him, without a scrap of human feeling. Without human feeling, one would naturally not count as human either. Bella, who are you imitating? It is terrifying. That cunning creature signed a contract with my father. I cannot dismiss him at all. In that case, why not report to his grace and ask that he be released? We will say Derek is incompetent and utterly slipshod in his work. Bella, you must keep your story straight with mine. But Bella's answer was, I would rather not. This had been Bella's own suggestion. Denise was left speechless. You only say such things, my lady. In your heart, you know perfectly well you could never do it. He is the tutor you recruited with your own hands, and a talent every other noble house is eyeing hungrily. How could Denise not know everything, Bella said. Indeed. Father may know nothing else, but where the family name is concerned, he will never yield. After bathing, Denise dragged herself toward her bedroom like a walking corpse. At last there is time to read novels. In that state, you would do better to simply rest. Absolutely not. If I let up even once. The very next second, Derek appeared before them. Would you care to practice a little more now? Why are you still here? Should you not have gone home? Is today's training not finished? What nonsense is this? What good is forcing yourself through more training? You pushed me past my limit long ago. I have only come to explain tomorrow's schedule. I will not listen. Will someone drive that strange man away? After a few days of his training, Denise had lost all will to live. Bella, it has been 3 years, has it not? It is only the 4th day. You are lying. But today you must attend the Rosia Salon gathering, so there will be no training. That is right. Today is the gathering. I must get out of here before that lunatic arrives. Even if you did not, he would surely permit you to attend. But no sooner had she changed and made for the door than she ran straight into him at the gate. How was your rest? Today's lessons are basic conditioning and magical theory. But today is the day of the gathering. Social ties among nobles are very important. I will remain within the estate until the gathering ends. The activities of high society are, after all, matters of great importance. Lady Denise, have a safe journey. Denise had truly not expected him to let her go so easily, for she was sure he knew she attended these gatherings only to kill time. But looking into his eyes, it was clear those words had been entirely sincere. In that case, Denise could not be bothered to think about it further. She had simply never imagined that the social duties she so detested would one day come to her aid. Some time later, Denise dragged her exhausted body into the carriage home. You were so lively at the gathering. How have you become like this on the way back? Naturally, because that man Derek is waiting at home, that perverse demon. The moment he was mentioned, her condition grew more theatrical still. Were you not exhausted? What exactly are you doing now? I am going to overturn this carriage with magic, disguise it as a carriage accident, and use it to escape training. Well, is my plan not rather good? At that, Bella stopped the mad scheme at once. Arriving home, the two of them found Derek chatting with the estate's gardener. What is going on? Why is he talking so happily with old Peb the gardener? And in that 1 second of hesitation, he noticed her return. Since you are back, go to the study at once. Tonight, please study the theory texts on your own. Denise was left gaping. She should have fled sooner. The next day, Denise found herself wondering why Derek had not prepared any of those horrific drills. And just then, she noticed 2 figures in the courtyard below. Derek was training with the captain of the estate guard. She found it baffling. From then on, she began watching him, and she found he was constantly making contact with the household. Whether the cook or the head maid, Derek seemed able to converse with anyone. Denise could not help her curiosity. What exactly was that man selling? What is the matter, my lady? That man Derek. Lately, he seems to be constantly approaching our servants. Whatever he is scheming, Bella, you must never fall for it. Bella is on my side, is she not? You will absolutely never be won over. Please do not worry. Nothing pleases me more than attending upon you, my lady. But the very next morning, the thing Denise feared most came to pass. Not only was Bella standing close beside Derek, there were pink bubbles floating around them. Denise could not believe that even Bella had now been won over. That very evening, she sought him out. This estate is mine. Everyone in it belongs to me. Why state something so self-evident? I know you have been winning over my servants. Stop these petty maneuvers. All you need do is teach me magic. I do wish to grow closer to the servants, but I am scheming nothing. Then what exactly do you want out of being close to them? It makes me deeply uneasy. It is because I must understand you better, my lady. What I wish to understand is not the elegant young lady of rumor, but the real person named Denise. Teaching a person is not simply the transfer of knowledge. The better one understands the person receiving that knowledge, the better the remedy one can prescribe for them alone. So what did everyone say about me? Did they say I am lovelier than Azarin and Alant? The servants told me that you find everything troublesome and have no drive whatsoever. But they also said that when something truly matters, you throw yourself forward ahead of anyone. You feign indifference, yet in truth you look after the household staff with great care. If this got out, it would be a serious matter. But the young lady truly is like my own daughter. My stubborn second girl was exactly like this at that age. There are times she complains the seasoning is not to her liking, but the next day she deliberately orders fine sea salt brought in. Not long ago this fellow fell gravely ill. When the young lady heard, she sent us a mountain of medicine. From now on, we will guard her with our lives. When I was ill, the young lady stayed at my bedside all night. Watching her doze off beside me, I very nearly could not resist giving her a little nibble. Learning the whole of it, Denise felt somewhat embarrassed. It is because they are good to me. I only did what was mine to do. I nearly forgot. Beyond all this, there is one more matter. Everyone tells me your writing is of a very high standard, my lady. What do you mean by that? I do not understand you at all. The Arrogant Count Lobane. That novel is yours, is it not? I enjoyed it thoroughly. At that, Denise panicked completely. That was hardly a respectable novel. Tracy's past in particular is deeply relatable, though the character of Count Lobane is drawn a little too forcefully. Setting aside that lingering, wistful affection, the description of his wild allure alone runs a full 7 pages. The frankness is certainly bold. Derek was only halfway through when Denise covered her face and fled. Just as he had said, he had not lied, and wanting to understand one's student is only natural. It occurred to him that the girl running off in tears might well be the finest moment in the whole of this story. Early the next morning, Derek came to her room again. Did you stay up writing again last night? It is better to sleep properly at night. I do not know what you are talking about. I am speaking of the Arrogant Count Lobane, which I mentioned yesterday. Have you forgotten already? Speaking of which, that balcony scene in Volume 9. You laid no groundwork for it at all, and the description is far too explicit. It is genuinely awkward to read. You must have dreamed something very strange. Let us go and train. Seeing her like that, Derek knew his purpose had been achieved. That evening, Alent arrived unexpectedly at Denise's estate. It has been 10 days since you took Derek as your teacher, has it not? How does it feel? Can you keep up with the intensity of his training? How shall I put it? If hell truly exists in this world, I believe it looks roughly like this. One look at Denise made plain how hard these days had been. Speaking of which, have you heard? Has some great news come out recently? They say Lady Dilla will soon hold her coming-of-age debut ball. So at the next regular gathering, she will attend alongside Lady Azarin. Denise could not help her curiosity. That notorious wastrel is entering society already. At the same hour, at the Duprain estate. The Rosea Salon. Why must I go to a place like that? Next week you must attend the gathering. It is part of the preparation for your debut ball. In that case, I shall go once. There is someone there I wish to meet. That famous Lady Denise. Before the next salon, Dilla went to Azarin of her own accord. I truly do not understand why I must go to the Rosea Salon. Beyond you, Alent and Denise, no one there is worth mentioning at all. That is not so. There are many people there of deep learning and great charm. But one look at Dilla's face made it clear. She thought nothing of any of them. I am curious about the world beyond the estate, but social gatherings hold no interest for me at all. Everyone there speaks nothing but hollow courtesies. Azarin knew perfectly well that Dilla meant every word. But in the present circumstances, she had to soothe her sister first. Try putting yourself in another's place. You and I both bask in the light of the Duprin name. Entering society is a matter of course for us. But for others, it is not so. To them, entering society is a chance of enormous importance. Do not think lightly that this privilege of ours came without effort. We must accept it with gratitude and work to be worthy of it. Seen in that light, joining the salon will be a very good experience, and you will meet all manner of people. Since you say so, I will think it over carefully. In any case, I did intend to go once and see it. At that, a small doubt stirred in Azarin's mind. Now that I have completed the whole of my basic curriculum, the family will assign me my own estate in Elbest, will they not? And I would choose my own servants. In that case, could I not also make some mercenary from a village my magic tutor? I know what you are thinking, but you know as well, Derek is teaching Denise now. I know, poaching another house's people is extremely improper. I only thought about it. Only thought. But one look at Dilla's face made it clear. This girl was doing far more than thinking. At the same hour, at Denise's estate, after everything that had happened, Derek had tightened her training further. You have progressed greatly. You can now snipe an enemy beyond your field of vision. Having said it, he suddenly drew a deep breath. Now answer me once more, is magic not truly fascinating? Faced with that ferocious look of his, Denise was somewhat afraid. It was Bella who spoke up. It is fascinating beyond words. You can feel that your perception of mana has changed, can you not? The sensation of catching those subtle differences precisely is endlessly fascinating. To take the mana one is born with and temper it this way is how one reaches a higher level. To master oneself is to be free. That is magic. Is it not fascinating? Denise felt no delight in magic whatsoever. To her, the Derek before her was simply a madman. And Bella chimed in again, it really is fascinating. What exactly is fascinating about magic? It is exhausting. That is because I am only watching from the side. That is why it is entertaining. At that, Denise was left entirely speechless. At this rate, it seems you still have not grasped the joy of magic, my lady. Look at the state of me. How could I possibly grasp it? That is my failing. It seems the intensity of your training is still unsuitable. At the word intensity, her eyes lit up at once. I will raise it further. I will raise it to the point where you can feel real gain and real achievement. In that instant, Denise's heart died completely. I am delighted now. Magic is truly fascinating. I love magic more than anything. I must set to work immediately. I will draw up a schedule of higher intensity at once. Time passed. The day of the Rosea Salon had come. Just as Dilla had said, most of the nobles were discussing matters of no consequence. Nothing but the private gossip of the nobility or the tea and pastries they had just eaten, which was precisely why Dilla despised these lesser nobles from the bottom of her heart. She could not endure that false refinement of theirs. The whole way through she shook her head in exasperation, wanting nothing to do with any of them. At last she found the target of her visit. Denise was speaking with several lesser nobles. Azarin had already spoken to her about it, but she still could not quite accept it. For at heart Dilla could not abide the insincere. In the entire Rosea Salon, the number of people she regarded at all was 3. As Dilla approached Denise, Dilla of House Duprain, the girl announced her own name outright. Bear in mind that the name Dilla was notorious among the nobility as a byword for a wastrel, so the lesser nobles did not hesitate a moment. They found an excuse and bade Denise farewell at once. Now that the greetings are done, let us speak of other things. Denise could only swallow the anger rising in her. What is it you wish to know? I will hold nothing back. Derek, he is your magic tutor now, is he not? At that, much of Denise's anger drained away. He is indeed my magic tutor. But no sooner had she said it than the girl turned her head away with a cold snort. Denise could not fathom where this child found the nerve to look down on her. Looking at you, it seems the two of you get on rather well. Denise did not know how to answer that either. Her exhaustion was surely obvious. And just then, Denise finally realized something. This girl fresh out of the gate was plainly jealous that she had Derek. If that were so, then Dilla was no child at all, but an angel come to save her. She dared to dream of using Dilla's jealousy to free herself of Derek. I think you had better start worrying. Derek does as he pleases after all. He could change his mind at any moment. But at that, Denise laughed instead. In matters like this, surely Master Derek's own wishes are what count most. That struck Dilla as stranger still. Did Denise have some means of holding on to him? You see it clearly indeed, and if House Dupreen were to offer far better terms, what then? That would be rather nice as well. Compared with teaching me, teaching Lady Dilla might be the far better choice. At that, Dilla was thoroughly shaken. She had not imagined Denise could be so confident. If you wish to speak with Derek alone, I can make myself scarce. There is no need to trouble yourself. Dilla did not know by what means Denise had secured him, but she swore she would not surrender so easily. What Dilla did not know was that Denise was still waiting for her to come to the rescue. That night, Denise sat alone on her bed thinking over the day. Whatever else, what she and Dilla wanted was one and the same. To reach that shared goal quickly, Denise resolved to write Dilla a letter. Though letter was hardly the word. It was a declaration of war. She meant to let the outcome of a mage duel between them decide whether Derek stayed or went. At the same time, Valerian returned to the estate from the White Zone. The subjugation of the White Zone was not yet complete, but he had not come away without results. At that, Duke Duprain asked at once what he had obtained. While exploring the dungeon of the White Zone, they had obtained a magical weapon. Bear in mind that any weapon which could appear in such a place was certainly no common thing. Just as the Duke prepared to inspect it himself, Valerian spoke again. It was a staff resembling a tree branch, and its function might be closer to that of a conductor's baton. At his description, the Duke turned rarely grave. The next day, Elbest was struck by a violent downpour. Denise had a nightmare. In it, Derek kept raising the intensity of her training. The sensation was so real she felt not one drop of mana remained in her body. Fortunately, it did not last long. She woke in the end with tears on her face. And when she found it had all been a dream, she was finally at ease. But she found it strange. Why had Bella not come to wake her today? If Derek learned she had slept in, he would certainly add to today's workload. But Bella told her Derek could not come for the time being. The captain of his mercenary company had been injured, so he had taken leave and gone back. At that, Denise turned and left without a word. She did not even eat breakfast, and hurried straight back to her bedroom. She had waited far too long for this day. Since Derek came, she had longed for freedom. Without hesitation, Denise returned to the embrace of her bed. For the first time, she found the bed impossibly soft. Even the air in her bedroom turned sweet. She had all but forgotten where she had left off in her novel. It occurred to her that she might use this rare chance to properly write the novel she had left unfinished. Meanwhile, with Derek, having taken his leave, he went straight to the Tears of Belderon. With the captain injured, the once lively tavern had turned utterly quiet. Without hesitation, Derek pushed open the door at the back of the tavern. The captain lay on the bed, and his left arm was gone. "It has been a while, Derek." At that, Perrin turned quickly round. Seeing it, Derek felt both a flicker of doubt and a pang of sorrow. Even at the Battle of Dawn all those years ago, I never took a wound like this. It seems I really am old. How did this happen? Even in a White Zone dungeon, you should not have been hurt this badly. I thought so too. I simply never expected a sandworm in a place like that. The instant he heard the word sandworm, Derek turned grave as well. I killed more sandworms at the Battle of Dawn than I can count, yet when this one appeared out of nowhere, I actually panicked. I paid an arm for it, but I took the thing's head as well, not a bad trade. Must you joke even now? Lately, House Duprain has moved into the White Zone. Other nobles are submitting exploration commissions in droves. They must be scouring it for anything worth taking. Never go to the White Zone. Unless a full regular army is sent to clear it, going there is nothing but throwing your life away. Derek, I absolutely do not want to see you die in a place like that. Time passed, back at Denise's estate. With Derek gone, she read through all the books she had not had time for, but she suddenly found she could not concentrate at all. This had once been her favorite thing in the world, yet now she felt something was missing. She began to recall, what should I be doing at this hour? And as mana rushed to her fingertips, Denise found her answer. I should be practicing magic. Since childhood, Denise had carried the weight of expectations heavier even than those on her brother, the future head of the house. Everyone in the family told her that only she could lead House Beltis into prosperity. But Denise knew perfectly well that all of it was an illusion. From beginning to end, her family did not care for her. They only drove her to the edge of a cliff. What they wanted was to watch Denise cross that chasm. It was not that she had never resisted, nor that she had never told them her own choice. It was simply that to House Beltis, Denise's choice did not matter. One misstep, and it would all turn instantly into disappointment and reproach. Expectation always carries the possibility of disappointment. Denise only wanted out from under that weight. Everyone kept magic ringing in her ears, but she still did not understand why they all loved it so. Carrying the blood of House Beltis, Denise's own gift for magic was far from weak. But the reason she did not do certain things was that she believed she could not. Derek understood this well, which is why he kept pushing at her back. To remake a person like Denise requires exactly that kind of iron persistence, one that holds on however the person refuses. What Denise was now using was the 2-star divination spell Surveillance. Her ability was closing on Azarin's. The mana array along the outer edge has gone unstable. That will leave blind spots in your detection field. When did you appear there? Why did I not sense you at all? The moment you are distracted, your mana destabilizes. That will only exhaust you further. Please focus on maintaining the spell. Denise had countless questions, but for the moment she did exactly as he said. Seeing her cast 2-star divination magic so fluently, Derek showed not the slightest sign of alarm. Through all their training together, he had come to know her level well. The instant he closed his fist, a ripple ran through her magical array. With his mana intruding on its currents, maintaining the spell itself grew difficult. Derek was deliberately breaking her magic. On the battlefield, divination mages frequently fight one another. War, in the end, is a war of information. Victory is decided by whichever divination mage stands at the higher level. From now on, we begin the training. Derek struck again. Her array shook violently. Please resist the outside interference yourself and protect your own work. If you can do that, no one will ever look down on your magic again. From her expression, it was clear. The pain was already near the edge of what she could bear. But the very next second, a smile touched the corner of her mouth. If you truly want to come this far, then do not regret it. This time, Denise held nothing back and mobilized every drop of her mana. He is a tutor I mean to sever ties with anyway. There is no need to hold back now. Denise smiling in the middle of training. For Derek, it was the first time. At the same hour, at Dilla's estate in Elbest. But the girl's mind was entirely elsewhere, so naturally she felt nothing. My deepest apologies, Lady Dilla. To make you stay in so shabby a villa. It is fine as it is. You need not apologize. So long as I have a decent training ground, that is enough. The training ground is that way, correct. Lady Dilla, please wait a moment. A letter has come from the main house. I have brought it for you. This letter is from Lady Denise of House Beltis. At the sender's name, Dilla stopped in her tracks, a rare thing indeed. The contents were simple, a mage duel, with Derek as the stake. But in Dilla's eyes, it was Denise throwing down a provocation. To lay a trap this brazenly is almost reassuring. To stoop to such a method, to beat me down so I can never covet Derek again, that is the meaning of it, is it not? After Derek's teaching, Dilla's anger had come to resemble a cutting frost rather than a burning heat. A cluster of thick thorns appeared out of empty air and struck the crumpled paper she had thrown with perfect precision. Those thorns of mana seemed to stand guard over a noble rose. Dilla walked on in silence. The killing intent in her eyes was that of someone looking at prey already brought down. Rather than hand Derek to so cunning a woman, she would drag him back to House Dupreen by force. Time passed. The day of the Rosea Salon came round again. The training she had given everything to the day before had emptied Denise's body completely. She did not understand why her will to win had been stirred, nor why she had given her all. And however hard she tried at the time, she could not block Derek's interference at all. Just as she was turning these things over, Azarin appeared before her. I am terribly sorry. I heard that Dilla was somewhat discourteous to you last time. I wish to apologize as her elder sister. My apologies, Lady Denise. There's no need to apologize. In truth, I very much enjoyed speaking with her. Dilla can be impulsive and extreme at times, but she is not a bad child at heart. I ask you sincerely to forgive her. Denise, of course, took no offense, for in her eyes, Dilla was her savior. In truth, if Dilla enters the Rosea Salon just as she is, I am genuinely unsure she can adapt. So there is something I wish to say to you. I wonder whether I might ask a favor of you, Lady Denise. At that, Denise was rather taken aback. She had no idea what Azarin wished of her. At the same hour, Dilla was arranging the layout of her own estate. Just as she demanded to go and train, a maid told her a guest had arrived. The steward then listed out the rest of the day's schedule. Hearing it, Dilla's spirits sank further still. The maid added that the guest came from House Beltis. At that, Dilla said flatly that she would not see them. The guest outside is Derek of House Beltis. Shall I send him away? At the steward's words, the girl's attitude reversed by a full 180 degrees. What am I to do now? This is far too sudden. Bring all my cosmetics and clothes to my room immediately. Elsewhere, Derek was already standing at the gate of her estate. Every worry in the girl's mind vanished, because she knew perfectly well he had come to see her. And in her haste, Dilla even took a fall in the corridor. But she scrambled up at once and kept running. Only one thought was in her head: faster. Some time before, Derek had come to Dilla's estate of his own accord. You have come to persuade Lady Dilla. Yes, the Rosea Salon earnestly hopes she will join. Lady Azarin asked Lady Denise, hoping I might help persuade her, but I am not certain you can manage it. Because even when Lady Azarin went to persuade her, she only said she would think it over. I understand, but one must try to know. Elsewhere, Dilla sat in her room waiting for him. She still remembered what she had done to him the first time they met. But as the two of them changed, so had what she felt for him, in ways hard to name. Her heart was full of restlessness and unease, terrified of leaving him with a poor impression. And just then his voice came from beyond the door. 1 second before he entered, something small seemed to bolt madly about inside her chest. Under her expectant gaze, Derek appeared at last. It has been a long while. Have you been well, Lady Dilla? The instant she heard it, the joy and excitement in her could not be hidden any longer. Derek showed little in return. He merely sat down slowly in front of her. You seem to have grown a good deal taller. Perhaps a little. Lady Dilla, you seem to have grown much lovelier of late. The instant she heard that, Dilla felt her heart was about to melt. But the very next second, his expression turned grave. At that look, Dilla sobered considerably. So you can even produce hollow flattery like that. Your handling of people is quite skillful. I only spoke the truth. At that, Dilla's head filled with pink bubbles. I came to see you, my lady, because there is something I wish to ask of you. In that instant, Dilla straightened up at once. After a pause, he spoke again. Do you truly intend not to join the Rosea Salon? Dilla was surprised. Why must even you speak to me about this? You will hold your debut ball before long, will you not? In that case, joining the salon will greatly benefit your social life afterward. But what have any of these things to do with you? I wish for you to go out into a wider world, my lady, because you are my first and most precious student. The instant she heard it, Dilla sat perfectly upright. Her manner had already given her answer. Not long after, the 3 great noble houses of the Rosea Salon gathered once more. And all of it was because of Dilla's application to join the Rosea Salon. What has happened? Why the sudden application? Azarin had not expected it either. She had said so much and Dilla had refused. Yet Derek went once and she submitted a formal application of her own accord. Denise could not fathom what he had possibly said. Time passed and this session of the Rosea Salon came to an end. But just as Denise prepared to return home, someone unexpected arrived. And that someone was Dilla, who had submitted her application that very day. Have you been well these past? Let us leave such talk for next week. At that, Denise was somewhat taken aback. Since you have declared Derek the stake, I must produce a chip weighty enough for Duke Beltus to nod at. Only then can this contest proceed smoothly. In your estate, there is a painting called The Panorama of the Corres Granary Lands, is there not? If I lose, I will buy that painting at a very high price and present it to you. Hearing that, no small pressure settled on Denise. Fortunately, Dilla did not linger long. Denise still made it into her carriage home. Do we truly have such a painting in the estate? We do indeed. I simply cannot recall where it was put. Do you remember? If you lose, you will be free of Master Derek. Denise fell into a brief silence. Indeed. That very night, Denise went to Duke Beltus's estate. She had come about this contest as well. So you are saying she will buy the Corres Granary lands and present them to me. That is a fine bargain. In that case, Derek may certainly serve as the stake. You need not rely on magic to achieve something. Even doing it this way is for the family. So long as you make yourself useful, your father is content. But hearing that, Denise felt nothing but wretched. Early the next morning, Denise sat alone in the courtyard of the estate. She felt out the air around her slowly, releasing her mana little by little. With Derek's help, casting this 2-star divination spell had become far easier for her. And unlike before, her perception had sharpened enormously. Whether a leaf drifting down through the air or a bird beating its wings, nothing escaped her senses. Unlike the crude form of before, she could now even feel the birds watching her, which meant she had mastered this spell entirely and entered the 2-star level. Denise flicked the threads of mana in her hand lightly, and a smile rose from somewhere genuine within her. Magic is fascinating, is it not? Derek's voice came suddenly from behind her. It seemed nothing she had shown that day had escaped him. In that instant, a complicated look crossed her face. Part the embarrassment of a secret discovered, part something like guilt.